if you don't mind introducing yourself and giving us a little background on you.
Sure, of course. I am Malicious Sheep. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, photographer, and vocalist. I am from rural Ontario, Canada. So repping
Oh,
Canada.
what?
Yeah. I am multiply disabled. I am part of the KIND community, which is chronically ill, immunocompromised, neurodivergent, and disabled. And I am all of those. I am also queer non binary, and I am a community organizer for TEA, among many, many, many other things, which I'm sure we will get to.
Okay, I'm just trying to digest everything that was just said there in that very short time, and we have to get to things. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much. A Canadian. That's right. I think I did know you were a Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I'm giving you a little fist bump right now.
Yeah. Fist bump
A.
through space
Give
and
you a
time.
little- but you're an Easterner though, so I mean,
Yeah, I know.
if I've got to hate a fellow Canadian for anything. But
Yeah.
you are from. But I mean, Ontario. You are pretty close to the center. Do you live in Toronto? You're pretty close to the center of the world there.
No, I'm several hours north of Toronto
Oh,
in
okay.
a
All right.
rural area. It's like a farming community and a tourist area mostly.
Cool.
Um, Lots of wilderness. I live pretty much in a forest, so yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's one of the best qualities of Canada is the forest we have.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, cool. There's a lot there to digest, and yeah, and the Taya thing, I forgot about that too. I have it written down here from a couple of weeks ago as well. Um, so photography is your well, I don't want to say because you're multidisciplinary. Big word for me to say. I was going to focus on photography, but I mean, you do a lot of stuff like with the vocalist and everything. So where would you like to start? How would you like to take us on this journey? Do you have
Mm.
anything prepared, or would you like us to ask questions? Because I could do that.
Either or, I can kind of dive into sort of what I do as a multidisciplinary artist, if you like.
Sure. Actually, that would be really cool because a description of a multidisciplinary artist. I'm
Sure.
sure it's different from everybody.
Yeah. So for me, I started doing art when I was very young, and I was lucky to have a lot of people in my life who knew a lot of different types of expression and creation, from woodworking to welding to painting to dance to singing to music more generally, um, poetry, writing, photography. I do drawing and painting, mostly paint with acrylics, but I also do some watercolor. I do assemblage on canvas, so taking random bits and bobs and adding them into the texture of the canvas itself. I do fabric based work, sewing clothing and um, other things like canvas and whatnot. Um, I build my own canvas stretchers, not as much as I used to. I do get my dad to help me now because some of my disability symptoms prevent me, but I still do stretch my own canvas. I do technical drawings. I do, if you can think it, I've probably done it. Um, I do digital art. I do just all the things. All the things. I've tried it at least once and enjoyed it enough to make several things with it. So,
Wow. We have a lot to cover now, even more. So when you were talking about the welding, so that's
yeah.
something that you have personally done.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
awesome.
used to work in a auto factory as a summer job between the ages of 16 and 18. So I was a weld tech. I also did spot welding. I did housing, milling, stamping, hydroforming, all the things. I used to be able to lift a CRV subframe once every 14 seconds and hang it on a rack. I
Wow.
was very buff when I was a teenager. Yes, it was good. Good fun.
Absolutely. Sorry, I got a couple of folks that you're a little quiet. Is there any way we could?
Sorry, that is my vocal traction.
Nah,
I'm
no,
trying to
I'm
move the microphone a bit closer to my
okay.
face.
We can also turn up our volumes if we have to as well.
Okay, okay.
Where's this echo? I'm getting an echo. I have an echo. Willie, we have an echo. It's me, isn't it?
I think it is.
Can
You're
everybody
the
else
only
hear that?
one. You're the only one other than me.
Oh, you don't hear the other voices? Oh, wait a minute. This is bad
No,
now. it's, it's me.
I
Um,
don't.
so I really wish I could get rid of this echo. When you were growing up, so where were the influences coming from? It was family,
Yeah, yeah.
schooling.
I had a fairly extended family. Um, Learned a lot from all of them, which was wonderful. They all encouraged me to explore different mediums. And then I naturally started to combine those mediums to see what would happen. And that's my favorite part of art from myself, anyway, is where the different mediums collide and the interesting things that happen between them. Um, yeah, I went to school for 1 year in Toronto for visual art. I had to leave because my disability stuff started to reach a peak, and I was getting all A's, and my professors kept telling me to just leave. I was like, okay, I'm going to take your advice. I'm not going to push myself. They're like, you're doing fine. I'm like, okay. So I did that for a bit, and then for about a year, I curated in a gallery in Kensington Market, which was a lovely experience. Um, and then my disability stuff got progressively worse, and then I came back home, and I've been here ever since. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being having all the abilities to work with different mediums and stuff like that. Like that's amazing. That just opens up crazy avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
I guess even when you're stretching your own canvases, I mean, do you build your own frames, obviously, too, that you're stretching them over?
Yeah,
Yeah, see.
yeah. For the most part, yes. Depending on the size, like if they're quite big, I'm not able to do it anymore. So
Okay.
I do get my dad to help me with that. But yeah, building those. Um, I've got a couple sitting there in the corner, which I should probably work on soon. I think I've got 6 canvases stretched. One's a 3 by 5, so I'm gonna do a big one soon. 3 feet by 5 feet. It'll be
That's
fun.
big. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're because you do so many different kinds of art, how do you like paint for months at a time? Like, do you get into phases where you're like, okay, I'm going to paint, or I'm just going to do photography for a little while, or do you constantly change and have many, many projects in different ways going on?
A little bit of both. So I'll be working on like concepts. I'll have stuff like half finished and I'll stare at it for a long time and work on something else. Kind of exploring a similar idea thread within a different medium. For the most part, my photography is the most accessible to me, so I can do that every day if I like. I did do photography every day for 3 years as part of a little bit of an exercise thing for myself um, because my disability progression got pretty significant. I can talk about that a little bit later. But with the painting, usually a painting is done within a day. Like I don't spend more than a day, and I pushed myself to actually spend a couple of days on some works recently. Is the first time I'd actually painted anything in about 10 years. And I painted portraits, which I had also done for the first time. I did one of Mike Shinoda and one of Mumu the Stan from the Tezos community. I also did a commission, and yeah, and then I did a self portrait, which I had also never done, and I did it that in completely in black and white. I can probably find the portraits if you want me to pin them.
Absolutely. Definitely pin anything you want. Up at the top,
Sounds good.
you are running this space as much as. We are, and actually, we would like you to run it even more. So if we're gonna go take a break. If you can just take it, we're gonna get out of here for a little bit. No, just kidding. I'm gonna kill my sound guy though. My echo is hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
It's like we're in the Canadian wilderness.
Yeah, and you're real hot, and Malicious Sheep is really low.
Okay, I will pull. How about I pull myself back a little bit, and then
That helps.
everybody can turn up their volumes. Is that what you're getting at, Willie?
I guess so.
Okay, well,
But
we'll try.
now I have me echoing through you.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I don't know. You have something unmuted or muted or not muted or.
Here, let me try something. Hold on.
Willie, why don't you just pop over here and help me out?
I wish I could,
Right.
but
Is
I put us on recall.
All right, let me see. Let's see. I've got the computer shut off, the iPad shut off. I have the main one that I have to leave on. My other phone is muted. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, well, if it doesn't bother everybody, we'll just continue with this, and I'll try to talk less than I normally do, and we'll all be better for it all around, actually.
Sure, let's continue on. More
All right.
ASMR
Or-
from Malicious Sheep. I'm gonna change the thing at the top. ASMR with Malicious Sheep.
no, we don't want to be followers. We're trendsetters. Call it something different.
Call it something different.
Call it something different.
Multidisciplinary mayhem.
Oh, there you go. That's some M's. Say that fast 5 times over, Willie. All right. Okay, we'll get back to it. Well, hopefully I can figure out.
MDR, multidisciplinary radio.
There you go. Hashtag.
Mm-hmm,
Cool.
mm-hmm.
Um, when you were growing up, was there something that you liked to do art wise, or I think this is kind of like the same question that I've been asking, but yeah, like so even when you were growing up, you were always all over the place. Whatever you could put your hands
Yep.
on, you would put your hands on, right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
We got. All right.
Yep.
Um, let's just skip a bit to the NFT world. How did you find out
Mm-hmm.
about NFTs? Did you know about cryptocurrency and jump into that, or
So I knew peripherally about crypto and NFTs, um, and blockchain, but I was under the impression that I would need a master's degree in finance and or engineering to participate. So I was just like, I'm not even going to bother looking at that right now. Um, I was very wrong. I wish I had have actually taken a deeper dive. Um, but so I came in kind of a weird way. I was watching during lockdown. I was watching Mike Shinoda do quarantine streams on Twitch, where he was making live music and chatting with the community. One of the community members, as I mentioned earlier, Moo the Stan, um, was part of the Tezos community and was really trying to get Mike on board there, and so was pumping Tezos all the time. And then Mike finally came over. Um, he did a free drop for the community. I missed out on that, but I did spend the next month learning everything that I could about crypto because I really was interested, but I wanted to make sure I understood what was going on there before I dove in. And when I finally did, I it was October 12th was when I did my first mint of 2021, and I got zero point 0.5 Tez from the at the time Hen Fountain to mint my first work. I have a lot of barriers in real life due to my disabilities, including finance. So the zero point 0.5 Tez was very helpful. And so from there, I minted, sold a few pieces, minted a few more, and then from there, I've built out my creation collection, which I think is like somewhere in the range of like 300 pieces now, and then my collected, which is somewhere in the range of 800, if I remember correctly. And I've never put anything in, and I've never taken anything out. Just on for the ride.
oh, that's very cool. That's the
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how a lot of people roll on Tezos, though. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what this family's all about. Willie doesn't sell, neither do I. Um, so currently, what's I was just trying. I was flipping through your Twitter here and your links. So what currently have you got going on? What's big and going on for you right at this moment in time?
Mm, well, I am working on a lot of Taya stuff. I am also currently working on a new photo series, or two or three. We'll see. Um, might be doing a fundraiser, might be doing um, an autumnal series with spiders and mushrooms. And
Autumnal?
yep, yep, lots of good stuff there.
What is that? What? Why am I missing that word? Why does that? It sound.
Autumn, autumn,
Oh,
like, yeah,
ah.
yep, yep. So lots of like leaves, orange leaves, and seed
Oh,
pods, and mushrooms, and
that's right.
spiders.
You guys have fall out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Lucky.
We haven't been dumped on yet, but it's coming. I can tell from the fruit on the trees. There's way too much fruit, so it's going to be a heavy one this year. Yeah.
Man, we don't have any fruit left on trees here. Like at like
Mm.
2 weeks ago.
Mhm. I'm thinking like pine cones
Oh,
might.
that. Yep.
Yeah, because like every year that it's going to be cold and snowy for a long time, they tend to overproduce because the critters will just eat them all and then they'll have nothing to grow new babies. So they overproduce on those years.
I
But
like to
yeah.
think I like to think it's because they don't like the weather and they're like, to hell with it. I'm getting out of here one pine cone at a time.
More or less. Then walk its way south.
Right? Exactly. Just go. The critters will take you one
Yeah.
pine cone at a time.
Mhm.
Uh, Man, we're lucky to
Um.
live where we live. I was going to say, just thinking about Canada. Just
Mhm.
I like it when there's somebody on the other end that knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, so your photography, that I've looked at so far, and just so you know, like Willie and I don't really do deep dives into anybody that we have on as a guest because we like the adventure and the journey along the way.
Mhm.
We don't, so. But I was noticing like a lot of the photography I was looking at, it's not quite macro photography, but you like a lot of close up stuff.
Yeah, I do some macro and some um, extension tube photography, um, which more or less does the same thing. Um, I use a Nikon D3 500 with a 68 millimeter extension tube and a 55 to 200 millimeter lens. It's generally what I'm using. And
What's an extension tube? That's a new word to me.
so it is a segmented extender. So the body of the camera, you put the extension tube between the body and the lens, and it will increase or decrease the focal point depending on how large it is.
Oh,
So it will allow for a macro effect. I can get some really teeny tiny things, um, and I can also very quickly switch it back to um, like taking a picture of a bird, for example, without having to disconnect and reconnect a whole bunch of lenses, which I
oh,
find very helpful.
yeah, that is really. I like that. I've never heard of that. I dabble in photography, but I've never heard of that. So I guess I
Mm.
don't dabble enough. But that's nice. So is it light? Is it lighter than having like a lens
So
that would
it
range?
does still have the lens on the end, so it
Right.
is a bit it's like top heavy, for lack of a better term. Um, Especially because I have a 55 to 200 lens on the front. That tends to be quite a heavy lens. Um, but overall, the whole it doesn't add much. It adds maybe like half a pound to the weight of the camera, which is fine. Um, and better than me trying to deal with a telescopic lens or something, which would have quite a bit more weight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but with my photography, all of them are unedited and unstaged. There's no artificial lighting. It's just click.
Very nice.
Um, mhm. And because one of my symptoms of my many, many disabilities is hand tremors, I have to do like a syncopated motion to compensate for the tremor and kind of catch it in the middle where the pendulum kind of meets in the middle and everything is still and crisp. Then I take the picture then. Um, so sometimes it does take a little bit of a try, especially on a windy day. Um, but I've gotten a lot better at it over the years. Um, and yeah, earlier I was mentioning I was using photography as a kind of like an exercise thing for myself. So after I left university, I dropped out after a year. I came back home, and um, a lot of my very complicated and multi layered disability and chronic illness stuff progressed to a point where I had lost, I went from 185 down to 125 in a month for my weight, and they didn't know why. And so, as you can imagine, I lost a lot of muscle mass. And so, for about 10, almost 10 years, I was fairly immobile. Um, and so, when I finally got um, an improved camera from what I had before, I was interested in um, permaculture, organic gardening, which I had been trying to do a little bit here and there as a little bit of exercise to slowly build my muscle tone back up. But I decided to use photography because I was finding a lot of really cool stuff, some species that I had never seen before. Like growing up, I was like the kid that was looking at the bugs, and I was like, this is a new one. So I started to photograph everything that I could within the space, try to identify every plant, mushroom, bug, critter, bird, um, and figure out what I was sharing my space with. So I started to learn like the binomials of everything and how they functioned within the ecosystem. And so each day, regardless of how much energy I had or capacity I had, I would go out with my camera. I would take pictures until I was too tired, and then I would sit down for 15 minutes, and then I would get back up and go back inside. Some days I was in wheelchair. Some days I was using a cane. Some days I was not using any accessibility aids. But either way, I would go out and take those pictures, and then when I got back inside, I would, as a part of my rest period, because at that point I was like completely physically exhausted, I would exercise my brain, and so I would research whatever I had taken pictures of, learn about, as I said before, like the systems that they occupy, and um, trying to identify species from like the tiny little spring buds on a little sapling. Like, I don't know how to look that up, but I learned, and so now I have identified everything. Um, there's still a couple new things that come in each year, and I'm like, ooh, something new. But yeah, I've cataloged the works, and so yeah, took some lovely pictures in the meantime.
That is so awesome. I appreciate all of that stuff. I'm a
Hmm.
very outdoorsy person, and I love to get down and at an insect or a tree's level or plant
Hmm.
level and just be right in there sometimes. So
Hmm.
what you were just talking about totally speaks to me. Just like the maple. I'm looking at a picture right now that you did of maple keys.
Hmm.
The very first, I don't know, fidget spinner, if you want to call it that or whatever.
Yeah. More or less.
But it's like the things that you must know about them by watching them for hours.
Hmm. Yep. And because I have 8 different types of maple in my space, so there's each of them has a different vascular system. Each of them has a different. color scheme. So some of them are actually pink and green, which is really cool. Some are very deep red, some are pale yellow. So it all depends on and what type of or what part of the season it's in. So that key picture that you're referencing is in winter. So it has been wind burnt. It was like a greeny yellow, and then it's been so wind burnt that it's now like this golden, rusty color. So
Man, you gotta have loads. So when do we get the encyclopedia
yeah.
on?
Yeah, no.
No.
I've I have so many external hard drives.
Well,
I think
that's
I'm over I think I'm over 200,000 photos now.
wow.
Yeah, it's a
And you
lot.
know what? I say wow, but I don't know if I've ever known another photographer to tell us how many photos they have saved up. So
Mhm.
maybe other photographers would be going, that's all she has.
Yeah.
But that's impressive to me. Like, wow, that's great. And so when you go through them, do you ever just cruise back through older
Oh
files,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so
All
do
the
you
time.
remember? Do
Yeah.
all of
So okay. So another bit of my medical history for anybody who cares. I've had 12 concussions, like total knockout concussions, and I've drowned once. So my memory is not the greatest in unless I use tricks. So one of the things that I did notice when I was doing the photography is that my memory actually improved when I frequently went back through them because I could remember things that went on around those photos. So that they're not about events and they're not about people, but I can recall things in greater detail than I ever could because I can go back through those and be like, okay, yeah, that was this summer. It was really dry. This guy was here for the first time. And this plant was here, and like all of these reference points allows my brain to recall from the endless stuff I've got packed into my brain, apparently, helps me sort it out a little bit better. But I really love going back through and finding repeating palettes that I've captured, um, even if they're not necessarily in the same seasons. Like my recent series that I put out for my 2 year anniversary on Tezos. It's called Primary Connections. I will pin that before I forget. But I did go back through and found some like more recent pieces, but also ones from um, like 5 years ago that the palette worked for me. It all matched up real nice. And so um, I also have a series that I did that with in particular, which was my mental health series from my first year in Tezos. It's a fundraiser series as well. Um, and it spanned several years. But I pulled the palette out of the endless photos that I have. Um, it's no wonder my computer struggles, to be honest.
work it, make it work, make it work.
Yeah,
Amazing, 200 over 200,000 photos. Like, wow,
yeah.
that's mind blowing. Yeah, I I do like how things like photos and or music can bring back all those kinds of memories, like sights, sounds, smells, who was around, what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a synesthete, so I have synesthesia as well. So um, I find that, as you were saying, like with music, that really helps. But yeah, I have.
Okay, can you? What's a synesthesia?
So
Let me let me ask the question. What kind of synesthesia do you have?
I have several. So synesthesia is where your senses are kind of combined. There's like a little bit of rewiring that's going on in the brain, which is causing a bit of sensory input issue, but also sometimes makes really cool stuff. So when I am singing with my eyes closed, I see color. When I see um, when I see something and I know the smell of it, I can smell it. But when what's another one that I have? I have I have too many. So
My buddy gives colors, numbers. No, other way around. He gives
mm,
numbers, colors. So if you tell him a number, 87, he'll give you a color. And I've
mm-hmm.
tested him. I'm like, in high school when we first met or whatever. I'm like, that's bullshit. Like whatever. So I kept this in mind, and I tested him over the years, and I would use the same number like 4 years and apart,
Mm-hmm.
and he would always give me the same color. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, it must be legit.
yeah, yeah. And
Or
then
he's
there's
life
one.
work to screw you, or screw with you.
you know, it's been my life work to trick him, so I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it away from him that it's been his life work to make sure he doesn't get tricked on it.
And so one type that's actually kind of common is when you hear music and you get goosebumps. That's a more common type of synesthesia. Um, I also have one that's not so fun, which is pain synesthesia. So if I see, even in a video, somebody getting hurt, I can feel that. Which,
What?
yeah, which is not the greatest. But I have like 6 pain disorders, so it's not anything new. I just vibe, just like going on with it. So, um, yeah, that one's not very fun. But the other ones are. The other ones are more fun.
I, I'm sorry, I'm just a little blown away here. I'm like, I've never. Well, it's there can be so many different kinds, and you have a few.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this
I,
is what happens when you knock your noggin 12 times.
okay, so I was going to ask about the concussions as a person who's had some concussions in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Were these things that were related to medical problems you were having, so you fell over or whatever, or was this because you were doing like really cool shit, like backflips and stuff?
A bit of both, yeah.
Okay,
So like the medical stuff, like my my medical stuff has kind of been like since I was a baby. So um, they didn't know what was going on. Just to preface that, um, so I had a lot of coordination issues. I would fall over a lot. Um, and then because I was concussed, I would fall over again because I was a bit confused. I forgot math at one point, which wasn't great. Um, and yeah, so the um, some of the some of them, I stood up into an open cupboard, like right smack dab in the middle. Stood up into the open
I did a
cupboard.
boat trailer.
Yeah, I was wearing a pair of like little plastic skis and slipped and got the I can't remember what it's called right now. Nouns are not going to be my friend tonight. But you know
See,
like the
even
little ducktail bone. Is it like occipital
even you
bone?
telling this makes me hurt in my groin area, and it happens when I watch movies now too. It's something that's only been in the last couple years. I think it's
Yeah,
been since I've had kids actually.
yeah, it could be.
But yeah,
Um,
I get sympathy pains too. I'm like, oh,
mhm. Yeah, so like the back of my skull, where my skull meets my neck, I smacked that off of the bumper of a transport truck.
Ugh.
I was playing broomball for all of you Canadians out there who know what broomball is, um, because like playing hockey was not an option. They were like, "No, you need to have your feet flat on the ground." I'm like, "Okay." So then I played some broomball and then I smacked my little noggin again on the ice. Uh, I fainted while just watching TV. I was standing there watching TV. I fainted and hit my chin, caught my chin on an oak coffee table, which did not move, but my spine did. Um, I oh, cool things. I
Oh,
flipped
cool.
an ATV once, and that was fun. I was like just tearing around, flipped the ATV. It was good. Um, what else?
And nobody's locked you up in a bubble now by now. Like,
Well, well, funny you would say so. I am immunocompromised, so I am more or less a bubble person.
oh my,
So, yes. Um, if I do go out, I'm going to have some sort of bubble. situation going on. But yeah, I haven't left home in about 3 years. I'm still in lockdown mode. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that you can express yourself in so many different ways, so many interests. I mean, honestly,
Yeah. I think I would go mad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
You
shit.
know, there's really nothing out there except for other asshole people. I try not to go outside.
Yeah. This is why I love like Tezos. We get our spaces, we got our on cyber. I get to vibe with everybody. This is a good time, you know. And then when I get sleepy, I can go to bed.
Right? Exactly. You don't have to. People, no. Why are you going to go home? Come on, stick around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel all right. I feel a little bit more relaxed now. You came on. I was pretty intimidated, and I was, starstruck.
Mm.
But I think I'm at the point now where I'm looking at you eye to eye.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, I'm still pretty starstruck. So your involvement. Let's talk a little bit about your involvement with Taya.
Sure. Do you want me to start at the beginning?
Yeah, please. Yep.
Okay. So I minted my
Did
first
my
piece
first piece
October.
October.
Oh, I got feedback there. Is that me or anybody else? Oh, okay. So minted my first piece in October 12th of 2021. Then then Hen shut down in November, so a month later to the day. It's like,
Like,
no,
no.
I'm just getting excited about this.
We are
Um,
getting feedback now.
oh, okay. Is that me? Is that you? Let me see. Hold on.
I had mine. I had my mic off, but I wasn't muted.
Oh, okay.
It's
Um,
psychedelic. This is the psychedelic episode of the Night Train. Night Train. Night
Night Train.
Train. All right. Anyway, continue on. Sorry.
It's okay. Um, yeah, so Hecate Nunk shut down a month later, which was very sad and very chaotic. A bunch of the awesome devs in the community spun up a bunch of mirrors. People in the community started joining a Discord called the Hiccup Nunk Community Discord, and everybody was hopping in, asking what they could do, trying to figure out if they could bring, because it was known that the Hiccup Nunk marketplace was open source, so seeing if it would be possible to do a community run mirror. I have done a lot of um, community organizing and advocacy work as well in the last few years. So I figured I had a bunch of skills that I could probably put to use. It wouldn't matter to me if it was making flyers or, um, copy editing or whatever it could be. I would use the skills that I had. Um, and I um, um, sorry, my brain just went off track. Oh, so then I volunteered to kind of take a look at the community code of conduct and the manifesto, and to make sure that that was all up to date. Um, I added in some language there, and then I was asked to kind of organize the Discord itself because I had some experience building Discords. So I built out the Taya Discord, which is a combination community center and workspace. So within the Discord itself, there are guilds, which are the workspaces for the different types of work that Taya does. So there's like design, the development, um, culture and equity, um, PR and communications, etc., etc. And so, and then within each of those guilds, there are many, many channels that have different subject matter for what the task is. Um, Organizational structure stuff. Yeah. Um, there's over 100 channels in there. I apologize to anybody who feels overwhelmed. If you are, please ping me in there and I will help you navigate. But yeah, we wanted it to be a functional workspace as well as a gathering point for the community. So at Taya, I do pretty much every type of task except for development because I do not code. Eventually, I will hyper focus my way through learning how to, but that has not come yet. Um, so I do.
I was just gonna say, what, you don't code?
I don't. No, I struggle. I do struggle with math. I did. I was a mathlete when I was a kid, and then I got one of my concussions, and I forgot math. And then, yeah, ever since then, it was not. It's not been my friend.
Oh wow, so that's ongoing that you're not good with math.
Like I can manage, and like it's just like I have like dyscalculia, so like, which is like dyslexia. So the numbers move. So I have to like check and double check and double check and double check to make sure that it is correct. And with math, you kind of want to be correct. With language, it's a little bit more flexible if you've misplaced an I or an E. But with math, not so much. Um, yeah, so eventually I will get there. I have refreshed a little bit, and I was actually quite surprised with how much I remembered from like calculus and algebra and all that
I-
stuff.
in all fairness, as a person who fucking hates math,
Mm.
and sucks at it, like I mean, we don't really need it anymore. We all have phones and computers, and right?
Yeah.
That's
I am really good with like spatial math. So like I can draw a straight line without a ruler and I can hang paintings, which is perfect for what I do. Like I can hang paintings without measuring the wall. I can just like put them up and they're perfectly spaced. Um, I can do furniture the same way. I can do planting in a garden the same way, and that's more practical for me. So I don't need to carry a measuring tape around with me all the time because I just got that down pat, which is nice.
that is nice. I worked with a guy that was just like that, and he could build stuff, and just it would always be. He's like, cut that beam right there, and he'd cut it, and it'd be like, well, let's measure it. He's like, no, just cut it right there, and it would be right every time.
Mm-hmm.
He could build a perfect square out of
Mm-hmm.
steel and not measure a freaking thing. The guy, it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. It's a thing, hey.
It is. It is.
One
Um,
one of the fun
yeah.
things.
So then, and then now at Taya, what else am I doing? Currently, so we registered earlier this year as a Dow LLC in the Marshall Islands, which was great because that took over a year of us doing legal and all of the things. So much stuff. But we finally got that all done. Um, then we had um, the Dow token claim period, which is ongoing right now. So, gentle reminder to anyone who has not done so yet, if you use the Hicatnunk contract or the TEA contract for more than 14 days to buy, sell, mint, if you held um, HDAO tokens, those are 1 to 1. If you participated in any of the community votes, such as the naming process, if you participated in a hackathon, there's a whole bunch of other factors which make you eligible for TEA DAO tokens. You can claim those on tea.art/claim. You can check to see how many you will receive or if you are eligible by starting the process of the claiming. You don't have to sign anything with your wallet, but it will show you, it will prompt you how much you are eligible for, and then it will start to your wallet to confirm. Um, so yeah, we're working on that.
How
And
long is that? How long is that window open
that
for?
that is open until November 20th. So a little bit of time left, just under a month. And then after the claim period is closed, any unclaimed tokens will go back into the treasury. The community voted for 8 million supply. Currently, last I checked, it was like 2. I think it was 2.3 million tokens had been claimed from over 3,000 wallets, and now those tokens are in about 2,500 wallets. So that's people like amalgamating them or selling them off if they didn't want the tokens, but amalgamating all of their wallets. So if you have multiple wallets, check them all because you might have extra tokens. Um, so after the claim period is done, then we'll be entering our beta phase where we will be starting to test out our new UI, which will include um, a proposal system for requests, feature requests, and other things, as well as a polling system. Those are all in testing phase now, so if you want to test it out for fun early, you can always hop into the Taya Discord and ask in the help channel, and someone will direct you to where you need to go, and you can test out those you know alpha testing all of them even before the beta test. So that'll be fun. Um, and then after the beta test, then the it will become completely like autonomous, more or less. So having a token, how we why we went with the Marshall Islands is so that if you we could register as a nonprofit, which was important, as well as um, allowing for a multi-sig to exist as the owner of a company. So currently there are 19 multi-sig core team members who will who execute decisions in that multi-sig wallet. Um, but eventually, uh, every token holder in the community will technically be a co-owner of Taya. So that's why we took a year with the legal. we we were trying. We wanted to make it as cool as we could.
That
Yeah,
sounds pretty
it's
damn cool.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have my Taya tokens.
Good.
I just looked at my wallet. I was like, look at that. There they are. It's probably
Good.
nothing, but it's something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Where where are the Marshall Islands?
That's a good question. It's an island. I'm assuming this is it's one of those things where they're flexible with definitions of things to attract different types of business.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, their physical location doesn't matter.
yeah, the physical location doesn't matter. It utilizes a framework of U.S. based law. I believe almost no, I can't remember right. I'll have to look it up. I think it is a territory, like a pseudo territory of the U.S., but I could be wrong on that. Who
Cool.
knows?
Well, it's really groundbreaking. Has anybody else done anything like this?
So as
Or
far as we know, on Tezos, we're the first. But we're pretty sure that we're the first that is both a non-profit DAO, um, who has done this in pretty much anywhere. Because we set that up in, I think we finalized it in February of this year, if I'm remembering correctly, or January, one of the two. But yeah, being both a nonprofit and a DAO LLC, I think we are the first. But I would be happy to have somebody um, tell me otherwise, because then my information will be more accurate.
I'd like to say I'm pretty sure you're probably pretty accurate with your information.
I try to be.
Nobody raised their hand in here, so I think you're good. It was said right here.
um, yeah, and then so yeah, we'll be opening it up to um, community-based proposals. So we want everyone to be able to make the best and most successful proposal as possible. So there will be guidelines. So it will need to be feasible. Like we're not going to take the treasury and build a rocket and send it to the moon. Like, that's not going to happen.
Not everybody's
But
Lambo.
no, not everybody's going to get a
Uh,
Lambo. And there will be things like it needs to meet our community code of conduct, it needs to meet our terms of service, it needs to consider accessibility and equity, um, at least in the proposal. Somewhere in there, they need to consider those things and explain their consideration. Um, and yeah, so like if people have a really cool idea that they think would be really good, they can bring it to um, the Discord, and like the people in there, like me, who are there all day, would be happy to help um, work on that with you to make sure that it's gonna be not only possible, but like like ready to go. You know, like so that when it is presented to the community, um, and the
they're not picking
community,
it apart. It's as rock solid as it can be.
yeah, so that it is not going to waste anybody's time. Um, it's not going to be something that, there aren't enough resources. Um, it could be a flexible timeline, sure, but something that is actually going to um, is actually going to be able to go through and be put into effect. Um, but then there's also the polling section, which you'll also be able to vote with your TEA tokens on the polls, where like smaller decisions, which are also important, and we really want the feedback. The community members can suggest poll ideas, because like that's TEA is all volunteer run, so like none of us are getting paid. We're just mucking in. So if you have like a skill and you're like, I think this could be something really cool that we could do, or if you have an event idea or a fundraiser idea or whatever, and you want to um, work on it with a bunch of, you know, like minded people in the community who all have this similar connections and can amplify, use the tech, all of that fun stuff, um, come on into the Discord. We would love to have you. It doesn't matter what skill you have. We will gladly take your help.
Willie, they're
Um,
looking for people that ride a one wheel.
I can do that.
hmm hmm Yeah.
That's very
And
awesome.
yeah, so that's mostly what I'm working on recently.
Just a couple things,
Yeah.
little stuff.
Also the Tezquake aid stuff, and then yeah, there's more things. There's more things, but I swear I do get sleep, but I also really need clones.
I was going to be one of my questions. I was going to say, so now that we've been listening to you for a little bit and we've been chatting, when do you sleep?
I sleep about 7 hours, which is good.
Oh, that's rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
And you get all this other stuff done.
Yeah.
Hardcore. When you're just kind of going back to your art a little bit, I was just thinking, what do you paint? I mean, you did self portrait recently, and you did some
Mm-hmm.
portraits, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
all you paint, or do you paint some of the photos that you take? Do you do scenery?
So I have done those things in the past. I have a three-part series of flaking paint, macro photography, flaking paint, and like a rusty staple, like all, very abstract, which I painted when I was in school. A lot of the painting stuff was in school or prior, so in high school um, as well. Because when my disability symptoms started to progress and the tremors started getting really pronounced, it was frustrating me too much because I had been a very fine detailed painter, and having tremors was making that impossible. But through that practice of doing the photography in that syncopated motion, I've also done that now I've learned how to do that with painting. I don't think it will be possible to do with watercolor. I did used to do a lot of watercolor, um, but it is very unforgiving. Whereas acrylic, I can kind of work it back and forth. Um, and um, yeah.
I was just thinking in my head, for anybody listening here, if you ever think you're having a bad day or a shitty day or not able to do something you like, I think you have to think back to our guest tonight and go, fucking buck up and let's get her done.
mm,
That's amazing. So obviously, your art is definitely something you use to self medicate now as well, right?
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do. Well, some of the other types of paintings that I've done, as I mentioned way earlier, was the assemblage on canvas. So taking random bits and bobs and applying those to the canvas and then painting around them or painting through them. So one piece that I have is a deer skull that is completely made out of pieces of rust that I found in a parking lot. Um, mm, which you would be surprised the really cool shapes that were in that. Then I've done. Um, I sewed, so I did a portrait of a woman, and I sewed her clothes on top of her. So she's got like a dress and like a top and leggings and stuff that's sewn on top of the painted portion. Um,
So is she naked underneath?
no, no, just
Is
like
she like
just like
just blank?
neutral, just like
Just
plain.
blank.
Yeah. Um, and then so like the color of the so like with the leggings, they were um, like lace leggings. Like it's just a piece of lace that I sewed on, and then with like the shirt, I used that same lace, but I had painted like the shirt was like orange, and then I laid that lace over top, so then it contrasted with the lace, and then it made it a different color. It made it a more salmon color. Um, and then I've done one that was um, using a whole bunch of different types of currency that have been used throughout time. So, like copper and beads and wheat and um, feathers and other bits and bobs. Um, and I made a uh, some koi fish with those, and I like had underlaying painting, and then added all of the pieces, and then added tiny accents of paint to those pieces if it was necessary to create the form that I was looking for. Um,
I love the
I have
vid.
a
Dude,
bunch of stuff.
creating like that is it's so next level. Like it is. It really is. It seems. I mean, you hear about it and you go, well, yeah, fuck, that makes total sense. That's so cool to do that.
Mm.
But not everybody does that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What so what happens with these physical works that you have? Do you just have like a big giant room with all of these stacked in there?
Yeah,
Sell them
I
off?
do. Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah. I've never, with the exception of that gallery that I curated, I've never been able to actually access a gallery because of my disabilities and the buildings aren't up to code. So either they're like up a flight of stairs, which I can't manage, or there's no wheelchair access, um, or the lights are fluorescent and strobing, which gives me migraine attacks, or, you know, just not at all accessible. So, this is why I love on cyber because I can build my own, and I have many. I have built many on cyber galleries because they are accessible. I will pin that up too if I can find it.
Please do.
Um, yeah, I've made a portal room, which has, I think there's 8 in there now. 8 portals to different galleries. So 4 of them are my work, and 4 of them are works I collected. I made this um, when everybody went to Miami and I could not go, which is understandable. I um, I was really excited to see what everybody um, was doing down there, and was actually quite inspired. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my own little gallery and celebrate with all the people who can't go, like either by finance or geography or whatever. Oh, I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, not everybody can roll out to Miami. I was lucky to be there last year.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of those things that, um, especially with all the new features that they have. Oh, I found it finally. All of the new features that um, they have now for like the multiplayer mode. It is like it's like Twitter Spaces, but you can like move around in there. Um, like the possibilities are very exciting. I fell in
Yeah,
love with that type of um, gallery experience when Beats from Here and Now um, did a series of artist talks where they would talk about their work. And then recently, Beats organized the Antidote for Music Art and Music Festival, in Cyber. Invited a bunch of the marketplaces to participate, and each got a room. So Taya got a room. I got to me and Merchant, Stu, and Sin Kitty, part of the Taya team. We um, did a open call for kind artists, so again, chronically ill, immunocompromised, neurodivergent, and disabled artists to submit work, and we chose 30, 36 pieces from 16 artists, I believe. And we also had 2 hours of poetry, an hour tour of the gallery, and just some open chat around that. So that was a really fun experience. I got to talk for like 4 hours. It was so fun. Usually my voice runs out, but then it didn't. And tonight I'm doing very well as well. Usually my vocal traction starts to deteriorate after a while, but we're doing good still.
I'm happy that we are because we have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of road to cover here, I think. Um, yeah, I'm really happy that technology is affording people things like that, right? Like it's giving you, it's enhancing your life experience
Mm-hmm.
by being able to do stuff like that. And I mean, with so many of us who are completely able-bodied forget about how inaccessible the world is
Mm-hmm.
to some people, and it's like it's simple things, like simple stupid things, like one step, right? Literally can be a make or break kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I
and like
Mhm.
I do a lot of disability justice work is one of my other things that I do. Um, so I do policy writing um, and try and advocate within political channels in Canada to make things better. Um, been working at that for a few years. Um, and I have one of the things that I've managed to do is develop an anti ableism training, which is to educate people because through no fault of their own, nobody is taught about disability. Um, more actively, like disability has been actively hidden from the population for, with the exception of like the last 25 years. People didn't see disabled people because they were taken away and put into buildings and never seen again, um, at best. um, and so, one of the things that I always like to bring up is that everybody who needs glasses without those glasses are disabled. But their access need is so perfectly met by either glasses, laser eye surgery, contacts, magnifying glasses, that they are no longer disabled because disability is not inherent to the person. The the person is disabled by the society for not making it accessible. So, yeah.
That's heavy, and that's very 100% true.
Mhm. Yep,
Yeah,
it
I,
is.
it is. I've always been. It's always been around me in my life, like through school. And mom was always like, "You make friends with everybody, right?" And even I see it,
Mhm.
and but yeah, like to see how ignored it is or has
Mhm.
been. Well, I guess it
Mhm.
still is to a different, uh, to a point for sure.
Yeah.
Got to educate a lot more people.
Mhm.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little mind. I'm kind of stumbling on my words because I'm a little mind blown by it. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's for, for like if I were to go like way way back, um, disability was seen as like a punishment from God. So like that thread is still there in the modern context. So this includes physical and mental disabilities or differences, depending, or like neurodivergence, all of that. It is seen as like a punishment from God for wrongdoing, either the individual or the parents of the child. Which, now that we understand a little bit more about stuff as a society, we know that it it is um, through environmental factors, it is through injury, um, and then with neurodivergence, it's just a neurotype, it's a gene expression. So it doesn't have anything to do with anything other than random draw. Um,
And another factor is too is that let's face the facts here. The human body is an amazing accomplishment that it even works.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a lot there that can go wrong. Like, I mean,
exactly.
when the human mind, you think about, somebody that snaps and goes crazy. It's like the human mind. There's a lot of wiring going on in there. When it goes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And there's with with like mental health stuff, it's like a combination of things, but more or less it is from unprocessed trauma. Um, Mostly intergenerational trauma, because trauma that your great 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 grandparents felt changed their DNA, which then changed the next generation's DNA, to respond to that trauma to be more safe. Um, and so that leads with effects many generations down the line. Um, and then just like the stress of living in a capitalist society that, you know, wants endless production and wants endless um, profit out of finite resources, including
performance.
people's time, including people's time and their energy, right? So it's a lot for the like we're great apes. We're supposed to be like lounging around, munching on some leaves and some fruits, and just hanging out. That's what we're supposed to be doing, but it's not what we're doing. So
No, we work ourselves to death.
yeah, more or less. Um, but yeah, and with back to the disability conversation, most people don't realize how inaccessible things are until they become disabled through injury. A lot of the time, it's a workplace injury, um, or like a genetic condition that comes forward later in life, or just aging. Um, we really don't treat our old people very well because we haven't built the structures that prioritize access and autonomy. And so, for people who age, like I recommend everybody who is able bodied now to get working, come, you know, join us to make it better for you before you age into something that is not great. Because because we do have the technology. It's at our fingertips. We have it. It's just not prioritized in the correct direction.
Well,
And
and
hopefully,
even for, sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
I mean, even it's not even just the technology. It's having to have the awareness that it has to be done a certain
Yeah,
way, right?
exactly.
I mean, something as simple as like Cro-Magnon as a little incline ramp as opposed to a few stairs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that also has to happen. I mean, and then you mix that with the technology, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody can have equal access.
Yeah.
My I had a buddy years ago who was in Australia working on the oil rigs, and they were tearing one down, and a railing came down and hit him, and he was paralyzed. And
Mm-hmm.
he came back to Canada, and like we got to see him for the first time, and that was the most noticeable thing, and the thing that we talked about with him a lot because that was top of his mind. Like you said, you don't think about it until you need it,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the biggest conversation he had all the time. Is there's even a restaurant would say, oh, we're wheelchair accessible, and sure you could get the wheelchair in, but then nothing inside the place was
Yeah.
suitable
Exactly.
for a person in a wheelchair. Like the
Yeah.
tables were no good, like the bathroom was not really accessible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we
Exactly.
yeah, it's very. I noticed. I was just in Italy a couple weeks ago, and I was in Pisa,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed a lot of people in wheelchairs around. And then it was
Yeah.
funny that my sister had commented about it, and then we had noticed that in the area where Pisa was and where the church that was there and everything, there was wheelchair accessible ramps
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was not something that we saw in Italy anywhere. I mean, if anybody's been to Italy, you know that the fucking streets are not good for driving on or walking on for able-bodied people, let alone
Mm-hmm.
you have any kind of a disability. But that's what I noticed in Pisa is that I don't know if they did it on purpose or how it ended up. They probably did, I guess.
Yeah. Usually tourist spots, like highly trafficked tourist spots, are they tend to be a lot more accessible. Um, Particularly places where there's like a pseudo or full religious experience. So Italy would be a really good example. In certain places within there, the the city will invest because, for anybody who doesn't know, the population of the conservative estimate of people who are disabled in the world is 20% of the population. So that's a lot of people who could be, you know, a tourist spending their money in your town. So smaller towns especially, but then also like the larger touristy spaces, they want to improve their um, access to everyone. But when there is more of a um, trying to think of the phrasing. Anyway, my brain's lost it. But
That's okay. Happens.
um, yeah, the thread is gone.
Yeah, no worries.
Mm.
No, next. Okay, move on. Okay, let's do something else. Let's talk about Willie's one wheel. No. Um,
Not very accessible.
not, well, no. Remember, we saw those people on chairs that were like
You,
riding.
you can put a chair on it. You're right.
I mean,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. Let's just say,
Oh,
um,
that was the one thing I wanted to mention earlier too. Just to kind of
I didn't
it,
really mean to laugh when I said that people died. If that's what you're going to yell at me
no, 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 it's fine. Yeah, I get it. You need humor in order to process stuff anyway, right? It's good.
the best way I.
Um, yeah. So one thing I did want to mention, yeah, I'll do two things. Okay. One is that disabled people in a lot of countries, including Canada and the US, don't have marriage equality. They can't get married without losing their benefits, which most people don't know.
I did
Um,
not know that.
yeah. So if you rely on your medical benefits, especially if you have a rare condition or disorder and you need a lot of treatment or investigative stuff that's going to cost a lot of money, if you it's even just like just over the poverty line. If you're over the poverty line, they're going to cut you off of those resources. If you get married and your partner makes over the poverty line. So that is a struggle that is still ongoing for the disability community.
That is
Uh,
messed up.
yeah, I won't go into some of the darker stuff that's still affecting our community because I talk about it enough in policy writing and stuff. I don't want
That's
to.
just pro Magon.
Yeah. Um, but the one of the other things that I wanted to mention too, and then we can talk about something else because disability stuff is a lot for people who haven't looked into it. It's a lot. I'm sure people right now are feeling a lot of discomfort and confusion.
Everybody's
um,
still here.
yeah, learning is good.
Yes.
Um, so the way that our institutions now are, the fundamental underlying structures of them were from the British workhouses, where they took all of the poor people and put them into a workhouse. They fed them, they housed them, and then some could leave if they weren't too much of a public nuisance. You could kind of like buy your way back out. But you were more or less arrested and put into a place to work. And it didn't matter if you were old, young, or you could be a child, you could be 90, didn't matter. Um, be productive for the empire. So then um, that came over to Canada in the form of residential schools, similar structure. But it also is the underlying structure for a lot of our institutions, medical institutions, particularly when it comes to mental health, like asylums. Um, so in the States, there was, I'm going to forget his name because my brain is not remembering nouns. Um, he was a soldier. He had come back from war. This was like, I want to say like the 1900s. My brain is not cooperating with that either right now. He came back from war with what we would understand now as PTSD. He also had an injury, and so he had a limp. And he was disrupting the public discourse with his presence. He was making people uncomfortable, so he was arrested. And he was taken to jail. And then what were called the ugly laws were formed. So there's several states that took this on, where if you were as the name suggests, ugly. So if you had burns or scars on your face, or people just didn't like the look of your face, if you were old, um, if you had some sort of developmental disability or physical disability, you would be taken by the state and put into an institution. And you would become a ward of the state, and the state would own you, and they could do whatever they wanted to you. Um, and so, yeah, it was not great, and our institutions now are still based under that framework. So um, there's a big push within the disability community to bring more autonomy to the individual so that your choice is valued. Um, those laws have been slowly deconstructed, but the skeleton structure still remains in those institutions. So it will take more time, but I know everybody in my community is very hopeful that we're getting there. Um, but yeah,
I'm
and
glad that
that
people
yeah.
are pushing for it.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm gonna start pushing to reinstate it. But here's the kicker, though. It's for TikTok moms who don't know how to pick up their kids at school, and they feel the need that because they can't drive, they can't park, that they also should bring their dog with them.
mm,
Can I get some backers on that or no?
nah.
All right.
Um, something that I did want to break out and point out is that the night
Mm.
train is the most accessible train out there. I just wanted
It
to put.
is.
I mean,
It
you're here.
absolutely is. Yeah.
Here, Willie and I are able to function on it, so I mean, it's obviously
Access from all over the world.
right.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just mind blowing shit. You've blown
Mm-hmm.
my a few times tonight.
Um,
So crazy.
yeah.
Like as I did say earlier, I'm aware of the issues that a lot of disabled people, whether it's physical, mental, and like have, but like
Mm-hmm.
you shed obscene amounts of light onto it. And I mean that it's part of what this space is. I mean, you're on here because you're an artist and a creator, and we also want to hear the story behind that because that's what makes the art and what you produce even that much better.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the stories and whatever other journey you want to take us on.
Mm. Yeah. One final thing, because I'm gonna just go on forever about it, because this is one of my things that I do. Um,
Roll out with it, man. I'm sure you're educating a lot of people. I mean, I'm very educated. And like I say, when I said that nobody's leaving the room, I don't joke when I say that. I mean, our listeners, people that come here, it's why we're here. We want to hear from the artist. We want to hear from the person that we brought on. If people want to leave, they can leave, but they
mhm.
don't. They like to listen. So please don't feel at any point tonight that you're droning on or boring or whatever. It's
Yeah, for
all
sure.
good.
One of the things about accessible technology is a lot of the time, the things that we use all the time have been developed for a disabled person's accessibility need, like touch screens. But because it's so expensive and there's not really a drive um, within capitalism to provide um, accessible stuff for cheap to people who need it, they commercialize it and use it as a product that they can make money off of. So, like the development of those technologies depends on consumers. Um, and
I
then
think I remember hearing about the Microsoft Connect being one of those items too, like a
mm-hmm.
touchscreen that was developed for disabled.
Yeah, and speech to text, closed captions. Like everybody uses them all the time, and they're designed specifically for people with disabilities. But a lot of the time, the people who need them most can't access them because they live under the poverty line. Uh, so another thing to keep in mind. But that is it. I'm done my ranting. We will talk about something.
Oh, for a few moments, talk about something else. Then. All right. So back to your paintings. You have all of your paintings just sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
But they're inaccessible to me.
but oh,
This is true.
really?
This is true.
Do you
One
hope?
day.
I mean,
One
you
day.
do hope, obviously, one day that you can present some of them, yes, or do you like to just keep them?
Yeah, I think one day it would be nice. I do have a project list of like, I think it's like 125 different projects that I want to work on, including paintings. So I have a stack of them I have in the corner that are unpainted as of now. Yeah, but I have some pretty cool ideas. I have a feeling that if I, because like I have so many complex, multi-layered stuff, like I am a bubble person. Like I can't go outside. I haven't gone outside in 3 years. Um, so if I am to share the physical paintings, they're gonna have to be in a space that I'm not present in. And so how I'm going to navigate that as the artist, like thinking, Sheldon Cooper style with a fucking robot in a screen, right? Like I can't be there unless some sort of adaptive technology is available for me that will meet all of my very complicated access needs. So having some sort of spacesuit, like I'd be down with that.
Well, how do you feel about like just VR in general?
Um, I haven't used it. I'm wary to use it. I have played video games for most of my life. I'm very good at it, but I have not done VR yet because A, I can't afford it, and B, my one of my conditions is migraine. I have three types of migraine.
Photosensitivity.
Yeah, so the photosensitivity may be an issue, but I haven't tried it to know for sure. And I'm not going to spend boatloads on a thing that I can only use once and then be very ill after. So eventually, maybe. We'll see. Um, but on cyber works for that, right? I can also take pictures because on cyber allows for photographs now, so perhaps I can take pictures of my work and put them in there. Won't be the same for the average user, but it also won't be the same for me to be in a gallery, so maybe meet in the middle, something like that.
It's almost like you need a gallery that has a separate glass room where you can be,
Yeah.
right, and then speak to people as it'd be like a linear gallery. It'd be a gallery that's just a straight line,
Yeah.
and you're in a glass room that's a straight hallway that goes parallel.
Mhm. Mhm.
I guess,
I'm
yeah,
liking this idea.
right.
Yeah.
I know it just seems costly the more and more I start saying it,
Yep.
though.
Nah, man. It's like a bank, like a bank teller. You know, it's just plexiglass all the way across.
Mhm.
What's a, what's a bank? Does the bank still exist?
I don't know, but the last one I went in was all plexiglass.
Mm. Yeah.
Got to keep
I
those robbers out.
yeah, I've been thinking about this too for like my music stuff. Um, because like the original idea that I had was to have some sort of helmet situation, um, and integrate like a microphone into like a quality microphone into it. Um, but there are too many factors that will compromise the microphone, mostly the moisture of my breath and also my ability to be able to project. Um, will be affected within the micro, like within the helmet. It'll just like reverberate, so it's not really workable. So I was thinking of trying like what would be possible for me if I wanted to perform on a stage. Like, do I just get a giant bubble and just vibe in the bubble? Like, what do
But
I do?
I mean, it doesn't even have to be necessarily a bubble. It can be a cube, right? You could have,
Mm.
like, um, I mean, you could have tubes. Like you could like cruise across the stage, and that's starting to sound like one of those hamster runs now, isn't it? But I mean, let's be realistic here. That's kind of I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again,
This is yeah.
I'm
It's
just thinking of a
true.
drum set at a church that's like fully encased in plexiglass.
right? Totally. Yeah. All right. Let's get on it, people. Everybody here, brainstorm. We need. So let's get that. That was actually a good segue that you brought up. Your music.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about your music? So you sing? Do you write your own music?
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
have been working on writing some stuff over the past couple of years. I do not know how to play instruments, so that is a challenge. I have been looking into there's this program where you can use your voice as a MIDI to do any type of instrument, which I think would be very fun because my voice is my instrument. It's the one that I have the most comfort with and skill with. Currently, I'm at about an 80%. I do think I have dislocated my larynx again. So, um,
okay. Whoa. Stop right there. You can dislocate your larynx.
yeah. I am hypermobile, so all of my joints will have the potential to dislocate or subluxate. And yeah, that includes the larynx. So, not so fun. But it doesn't really affect things other than today I can't really hit my higher range. I can only sit in my lower range when I'm singing. So
What?
jazz. It'll be jazz.
I was.
instead of like hyperpop or something, you know.
Do you sing all
Um,
stuff?
hmm?
You like also when you sing, you sing all kinds of different things. Do you
Yeah,
experiment or do you have? Yeah.
yeah. I can sing in pretty much every genre, um, in multiple types of vocal qualities. I can do impressions and I can do sound effects. Um,
But you can't program.
no, not yet. Not yet. I need the clones first.
Sorry.
Mm.
You're, you're right, making me feel really inferior over here.
Oh,
I I have my health, but I can't fucking do anything.
one of my uh, strategies to distract myself from my six pain disorders is to learn things. So I just keep learning things, and it works for me.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah.
So you're
So
saying,
don't feel inferior. You have your own fabulousness, right? Everybody does.
do I look good in glitter?
This is the question.
I doubt it.
How dare you? You don't
He
know.
needs a sparkle.
I don't want to see you in glitter though.
Maybe you do. How do you know you don't want it? I didn't say it would be gimpy.
Uh,
Maybe it would be. Anyways, that's a derailment right there. Train just
Yes.
went off. Sorry, what were we
Uh,
talking about? Your music.
yeah.
Back to.
um, yeah, I was saying I am writing lyrics. I have been spending a lot of time building my confidence with my poetry. First off, in uh, one of my favorite spaces, which is called the Jam. I see Mindset is there in the audience, one of the lovely co-hosts for that. Also with LM Designs and Crypto Casually. Um, and I have been performing in those spaces for over a year, and they've really helped me build my confidence in my presentation of my poetry, um, and the content of my poetry, and have allowed me more, freedom to speak in spaces without, in front of an audience without trembling like a leaf like I used to. Also, some other awesome spaces where I've also built up that confidence was um, burritos, and I see some of my burritos fam in here, whom I love, and yeah, so lots of poetry writing. I think I have enough content for 3 albums worth of stuff if I can sit for a hot minute in front of Ableton and learn how to use that properly and get that voice MIDI to do some arrangements. Um, but excited for it.
I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
How about now? No. Uh,
I can probably sing some stuff actually, and do some
would you?
impressions.
I was just like pulling. I
Yeah,
was just like bullshitting.
yeah, sure. But I will preface because Canadian copyright law is like super powerful. It's powerful hard. Um, I am not making money from this. I will not be making money from this or any recordings. This is for demonstrative purposes only. So I got that out of the way. Um, okay, let me see. I can do I can do some jazzy jazz. I can also do a couple impressions if you like.
Yes, all of the above.
Okay. Okay. Who do I want to start with? I'm currently. I might have to take the headphone out of my ear so I can hear myself. But when I'm finished, each one I'll put it back in so I can hear you again. Um, anyway, okay. Hmm. I think we'll go with us Fever by Ella Fitzgerald to start. And then, no, I'm going to do Jolene first, I think. Maybe. Let me test it. Give me a second to be on mute so I can test my voice. Hold on.
I'm stoked. I'm excited. Take this moment to breathe. I like that. It's not very often that Willie or I are not talking.
Try not to interrupt if you get started.
Yes, fair enough.
Okay, I think I can do it. Now that I've said that I'm more confident and I don't tremble, this is what happens, you know? Okay, so. Okay, I'm gonna take this out of my ear. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take him just because you can. Your beauty is beyond compare with flaming locks of auburn hair and ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like the breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep, there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And I can easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man.
Somebody get this lady a glass bubble to sing in, please. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that and Jolene is like it's right up there in one of my favorite songs in my life. I love that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody's clapping and applauding. I know they are. They're like free.
Yeah, I'm also thinking, great. Now this episode's not going to be able to stay up on YouTube.
No, no, they won't recognize it with the because saying it, so it won't recognize it in the algorithm. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I can try and like halfway through the song change my voice.
No, no.
No, 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 no.
We certainly don't
Awesome.
have any problems with YouTube at all. So
Okay.
we're not on anybody's radar, man. That was beautiful.
Thank
What's next?
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll do Fever by Ella Fitzgerald. So in my lower range. So you can hear the high range and then you can hear the low. And then maybe I'll do some other impressions. Just like a couple lines from each so you can hear how they sound.
Love it.
Okay. Oh, I also don't have the headphone in, so apologies if I'm interrupting anybody, but okay. Never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, a fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name, and you know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, Fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning. A fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever. That is something you all know. Fever isn't such a new thing. Fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet. Juliet, she felt the same. When he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're my flame. Thou givest fever when we kisseth, fever with thy flaming youth. Fever, I'm on fire. Fever, yeah, I burn forsooth. Now you've listened to my story. Here's the point that I have made. Chicks were born to give you fever, be it Fahrenheit or centigrade. You give you fever when you kiss them. Fever if you live and learn. Fever till you sizzle. What a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn.
Woohoo! Where's the applause button, Willie?
Oh, it's in there somewhere. I was away from my phone actually.
I
I'm not
know.
sitting at my phone. Let's
Wow.
see. Here we go.
And even
Oh, that's not the right one. Not that one.
oh, wow. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for that. Did you put your headphone back in? Just oh, great. I got to say all that over again now. Are we going to get some impersonations?
Are we gonna do a duet of prison song by by System of a Down? I saw that in her tweets recently. Like, I get down on that. I
that
know the prison system.
that was some sexy singing. I'm not going to lie. Those were two great songs. Fabulous.
Yeah,
And
speechless.
we're going to do some impersonations as well. What are the impersonations? Do you do Donald Duck?
You do Chewbacca.
Roar. Mal has eternally muted herself. And that was at 80% too, she said. Her vocal cords were like at 80%.
Oh, there we go. I'm free.
Oh, yeah. Somebody, maybe me, muted everybody. I don't know.
Oh, it wasn't me. Nope. Either or what?
I
Could
was
have been
trapped
me.
in the abyss.
That of all the people in here that we shouldn't be muting, definitely
Well, it was definitely after when I went to pick up my phone and hit the applause button.
right. Gotcha. Okay, that's why she was laughing and everything as well. like, like you're listening to us and laughing at us, and you're not unmuting. Well, that's not very nice. Wait, well played. Played.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
My
That,
face
that,
is
that,
all
and
warm now.
like you said, that was at 80%. You figure your vocals are working at.
Yeah. I've definitely got a dislocated larynx, so I'm not gonna be able to go as high like I would be able to do like I don't know what's a good
That's a,
example.
I'll smoke a joint. I'll get high enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
My range is significant. I think I'm like 8 octaves.
oh, that's huge. Like, what the hell was
Yeah.
Whitney Houston? Was she wasn't even eight, or was she? She was 8 octaves.
I think it's like her and
Axl Rose used to be that way too.
yeah, there's
Not anymore.
um, Julie Andrews used to be. Um,
Oh,
there's a
really?
couple. Yeah, yeah. She's got well, she used to have a very intense vocal range, but she ended up with vocal polyps from overworking her voice without enough rest, and then she had a surgery that went wrong, so she can no longer sing.
Ah, shitty.
Yeah, very sad. She was one of the reasons that, like, spoonful of sugar, which I will probably do an impression of. um, okay.
Whoa, what was that,
Uh,
Willie?
It wasn't me.
Oh,
no.
right then. Yes, please you continue.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and
Um, so I will do some singing impressions, and then I will go to like character impressions, I think, because that will give my voice enough of a break, and then I can probably might be able to do, um, I don't know if anybody's watched The Producers, the musical. I will be doing a song from that, because I think I can get in that range with my larynx size it is. Anyway, okay.
send it.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do share. um, okay. 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 I'm finally ready. Okay. Whew. Do you believe in love after love? I can feel something inside me saying, I really don't think you're strong enough now. And I know that I'll get through this. And I know that I am strong. I don't need you anymore. No, I don't need you anymore. No, I don't need you anymore. No, I don't need you anymore. There's that. What else can I do?
I totally envisioned you with long black hair.
Thank you, thank you. What else? What else? A little bit of Shakira, which may be no surprise because it's in my lower range. Can't you see? I'm at your feet. Whenever, whenever we're meant to be together, I'll be there and you'll be near. And that's the deal, my dear. And I will get out of here. Etc. Etc. What else can I do? Um, hmm. for all the snippy snippets, but I don't think my voice will last if I do the full songs. I'm also singing in a whisper um, because I'm also doing like elder care for someone who is sleeping. So I'm staying up super late because she gets up super duper early. My morning is like 4 in the morning. So, um, but tonight is worth it. It's a lot of fun. So, what else can I do? Um, I can do. Oh, um, I can do a little bit of Britney Spears. A little bit. Um, Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart. I lost in the game. Oh, baby, baby. It's not as strong as my other stuff. Um,
I felt the Britney vibe there.
the Britney vibe. It's the vocal fry and the very relaxed.
As long as you're not wielding knives around your foyer.
She's got a choreographer. She's got it. She's got it. Um, what else? Okay, I think I'm gonna hop over to my little character voices. It's got so many tabs open. Okay. Um. Okay. So I'm sure folks are aware of Pokemon and that Pokemon exist. Um, I do a bunch of Pokemon voices, which I'm going to attempt now, and some animal voices, and some sound effects, and things like that. Okay. So, taking this out of my head again so that I can hear myself. Pikachu, Pikapi, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Cubone, Victory Bell, Wobbuffet, Ekans, Coughing, Meowth. Uh, oh, Ditto. Ditto is that might be too high. Yeah, too high for me tonight. Goldeen, which is Goldeen, Goldeen, Goldeen. Dig like dig, dig like dig. Electrode, Magneton. Surprising I could do that one. Um, and then Jessie from Team Rocket, which is to protect the world from devastation. I'll kind of put my headphone in now so I can hear it for a minute, and then I can do some more. Um,
Those are awesome.
I didn't know Pikachu's had voices.
Yeah, Pikachu does. Yeah, and then he had Pikachu also has like a really aggressive, like lightning strike one, where he's like, I if I do it, I'm not gonna be able to do anything else. But I can do that sound. Just know it. I can. I figured it out the other day, so very proud of myself. Um, um, so then we've got Yoshi. Yoshi! And then we got Mario. It's a me, Mario, the princess. Woohoo! Princess Peach, which is Peachy's got it. Yeah. What else do I got? I can do. I learned recently. I'm sure if anybody's aware of the lovely person named Tan Tan in the Test of Space, which, if you don't, go and check her out and her awesome work. But she, like me, is a rabid One Piece fan. She got me onto that. We can all blame her. But I learned how to do Luffy's voice recently, which was fun. So for anybody who actually watches that and knows what this is going to supposed to sound like, I'm gonna step down from my voice into a different register, like a different vocal quality, using our Canadian faves, the hip. I'm gonna just do a line from New Orleans, and then step down, and then I'll do the Luffy voice because that's the only way I can get there as of now. So I'll do that. Okay, hold on. Okay, so New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't wanna swim. New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't wanna swim. New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't wanna swim. New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't wanna swim. So now I'm in the Luffy voice, which I can hold for a minute. So uh, Luffy goes, Monkey D. Luffy. And then he says the other characters, which are Zoro, Choppa, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, um, Brook, Frankie, Ace. And so I can do that kind of well. I think I've got it pretty good in my mind, anyway. Um, it is the Japanese version. It is not the English version. In case anybody's been watching it in English, it may sound completely different. I don't know. I haven't watched it with the English subs or dubs. Um, but yeah, I can also do some animal noises.
Sorry, it was just in my head. In my head, I was like, "Well, of course,
Yeah, of course, of
right,
course.
but you
Yeah,
can't program."
but I can't program yet.
Yes, I know. Next week she'd be like, "Okay, here, bitch, I learned how to program."
Yeah.
Yeah, but what the people really want to know is how good is your Chewy impression?
Oh, I actually tried it. I'd never tried it before, and I tried it when you mentioned that earlier. Let me see if I can get it to go again. Hold on, hold on.
That was way better than Willie's, that's for sure.
Oh, come on!
I don't think I could do it. Oh man, this is so much fun.
I'm gonna be practicing all week now.
Yeah. So, right,
You
well,
got
you
to
better.
come back stronger, right?
Yeah.
Got to practice.
That sorry, it's popped out of my mind. One
One Piece.
One Piece.
Hmm.
I've watched the live action one. I haven't watched the cartoon. My niece yells at me because I said, "Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched that." She's like,
yeah.
"Did you watch the cartoon?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Ah."
Watch the original. It is over 1,000 episodes, so brace yourself. I started 2 months ago, and I'm on episode 775.
Holy.
So it's not impossible. And I watch it in Japanese. I do not understand Japanese, so I use the subtitles. I highly recommend that because any clips that I have heard with the English, it's just like it doesn't make sense to me in my brain. I would highly recommend the original voice actors because they are amazing.
I gotta think after 700 episodes, you're learning a little bit of Japanese.
No, no, not enough. Like I know, like baka means idiot. Like that's about as. And itekatamasu is like I will be, or I will receive this food. Um, but past that,
See,
not
Yeah.
really.
more than me.
I know if we for a few more minutes, the sun should be busting out full lenses, but that's
I
all.
know. Nah, I haven't learned any. Just 700 episodes worth.
Yeah.
um,
Realize that one day you'll hear somebody speaking Japanese and you'll answer them.
oh, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Overwhelm my brain, and then it'll just absorb it like a sponge. If only I could code like that.
It just popped into my head that we have to make the coffee mug of this space, Willie, is we should put bits and bobs on the front of it.
Bits and bobs.
That just popped back into my head from when you were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Like physical, like find some bits and bobs out in the world and glue them on the outside, right?
That's the next level. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
next.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I dig.
I like this idea. I
Yeah,
like this idea.
and the fact that you can drink coffee out of it is even more brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at the things I can drink coffee out of.
Straight out of the pot, bud. Got to. Um, I was going to say at this point in time, definitely Mal. I always reach out at about this point in time to let our guests know that you're not obligated to be here for any amount of time. Not that we're kicking you out or telling you you have to leave or in any way, but just always like to a little ways in. Go. You definitely can take off whenever you have real life stuff to do or you need to go to sleep. Please don't feel obligated to stay. But I would also like to talk a little bit.
I'm happy to stay
All right,
because
cool.
I have planned for a longer evening regardless. So.
Super duper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was also, if it would be okay with you, I was going to open it up to see if anybody down there that's been listening into the conversation has any questions for you, if you'd be okay with that.
Sure.
Usually I ask, nobody comes up anyways. So,
I would be happy to answer questions.
okay. All right. So then I'll just throw that down to everybody that's listening down there. While I'm also saying this, I'd like to give a shout out to John Thurman, Fendel de la Creme, Jay, John Barrymore, Sister Sage Herbs down there, Payne, the Meta Muse, Fariz, and Kat O'Donnell? Kath O'Donnell? If I said
It's
it
Kath.
wrong.
Yeah, it's Kath. Yeah, I know Kath.
Kathia? All
Kath
right.
is with Taya Team too.
All right. Well, thank you. I screw things up all the time, so people can't really blame me, but I was close. If I just read what I'm looking at, maybe.
You can't get blamed for mispronouncing someone's online name.
No, no. And I was going to say, if anybody saw my real last name, they would go, "What in the fuck is that?"
You've told it to me. I still don't know how to say
Yeah.
it. Like, huh?
13 letters of huh?
It's all vowels. I don't get it. Fucking Italians.
Damn straight. What's going on, Fendel? How you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing great. What a fabulous show you guys have. Mel, it's so wonderful to have you on this show, and you just sound beautiful. Incredible.
Thank you. I'm so glad that everyone has enjoyed.
Yeah, amazing. It's just incredible to see all your incredible talents, and thank you so much for singing, just a cappella on the show. And those voices are just super fun. Maybe you'll do some more. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely had like one idea about the helmet because I built several helmets and
Mm-hmm.
I had ideas about wiring actual microphones. So if you want to have that conversation in DM sometime, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I was looking into potentially getting some sort of medical grade 3D software to try and learn to build my own accessible stuff. But if I can get some pointers, that would be great. Because they don't make stuff. They don't make stuff at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy to help support your music in any way I can. Absolutely.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
Um, but yeah, excited to see more of your art and yeah, like how did you? Sorry, there's like an echo. It's like throwing me off a little bit,
I know, dude. It's been all night. It's horrible.
but anyway, like I was curious about you, kind of your music trajectory and like how you got started in music and what you love and what you like to listen to.
Sure. I started singing really early. Um, my mom said that when I was born, I screamed very, very loud that the whole hospital heard me. So I've got a good set of lungs, apparently, if nothing else. Um, um, so, yeah, when I was very little, I started singing. I didn't have any formal training in singing until I think it was now it's like 3 years ago. It's like the first year of lockdown, um, because I had spent a few years not really singing in the way that I used to. I had lost probably 2 octaves on top and two on the bottom, um, because one of my many things that I deal with my disabilities is breathing. So I have like a the more I quick like easy way to explain it is the more I use my muscle groups, the weaker they get without extended rest. So, what a normal person would metabolize in their lactic acid will take me, it would take a normal person like a couple hours. It'll take me several weeks. So, I really have to manage my which muscle groups I'm using for any particular thing. So, when I'm breathing, I have to switch between like three different angles in which I'm breathing. So I'm either breathing with my belly, with my chest, or my lower back. Similarly with my vocal cords. The vocal cords, I've gotten more stamina from singing. So I have a little bit better stamina there, but it's the same with any other muscle group. So I went to a um, music coach virtually, of course. I actually, it was the last thing that I actually did outdoors before lockdown was I went down to Toronto to her studio and did one session with her. And then lockdown happened, and then I was able to do everything online because previously there were no online options for vocal stuff in my area or my needs. So she taught me different methods of breathing so that A, I wouldn't lose my breath or my breath pressure, wasn't fatiguing myself or injuring my vocal cords, and how to kind of reset my larynx over a couple of days, as well as other things. So that built my confidence back up again because I was under the impression that I had just lost it. I'd lost that range, but I was able to get it back in about a year, which was great. So if you ever want to learn, please try because you never know. Um, yeah, but she was amazing. Um, so with my, I go on a ramble tangent every once in a while, and I forget where I was going. Oh yes. So my musical influences, I guess, are all over the place. Pretty much every genre. The first record that I ever bought was Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. That was with my own money. Um, but I listened to a lot of like System of a Down, um, Evanescence, Linkin Park, Madonna would be in there too. A lot of electronic music, a lot of drum and bass, a lot of old classics like Ella Fitzgerald and Peggy Lee. Um, just all over the map. I have, I think my Spotify thing told me I have like 300 genres or something that I listen to in my last roundup. So I'm just kind of all over the map with that. But I take a lot of my, I think a lot of my vocal quality, at least for my own singing voice, I, because it is so easy for me to impersonate, like that comes more naturally to me than to sing in my own voice. Um, I have kind of struggled with finding my own sound. So what I have done is just go with practice singing songs by vocalists that I know I can impersonate. So, for example, Chester Bennington or Serge Tankian. Both of them are exquisite vocalists who have a lot of dexterity in their vocal quality. Um, I can't do screaming, unfortunately. I have tried. I can do similar things, but not quite there. And I'm taking it very, very slow so that I don't injure myself. Um, but I can do, as you can probably hear, my lovely vocal fry, which I tend to have at any point in the day. Um, I have a lot of um, material for songs. I do have not played instruments, with the exception of a broken organ, and only half the keys worked when I was growing up at my grandparents' house. So I could play some songs, but not all of them. That was the only experience that I had with an instrument. Now I am trying to teach myself keyboard with a MIDI keyboard when I have time, which currently I do not. Um, but yeah, I think with my music, I want to explore all of the ways in which I can make my voice work. Um, so it's not going to be limited to one particular genre or style, um, or pacing or anything like that. I'm going to just play, 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 and hopefully people like it. So, yeah.
Have you
What
done
is your.
much recording at all? Or
Pardon?
have you recorded your voice at all, or do you have like a home recording setup?
I have recorded my voice. I didn't catch the last end of the.
Oh, I was wondering if you all have that home recording setup or like a studio.
I'm sorry.
We're
What was.
having hellish audio quality tonight.
Okay. I thought it was just me because I have an audio
Nope,
processing disorder too. So, okay.
no,
Okay.
no. That was
Can.
there. Something is awry tonight with people speaking from the echo and what just happened there.
Can you hear me? Is this any better?
Kind of? Yes. Go ahead.
Sheesh. Yeah, I was wondering if you had like a home studio,
Oh, home studio. Yeah. Um, so I have Ableton on my laptop and I have a little MIDI keyboard. I have like a makeshift space that I use. Um, I invested in a very nice microphone. I'm very proud of myself for my investigative stuff because I love this microphone. It is
what'd you get? What'd you get?
I got a Rode USB microphone and not the NT USB and not the Rode USB. So it's like a studio quality mic with a pop screen. It's got a stand, but it does go directly into the computer very nicely and records in both Wave and DX. So happy with that. And I have recorded myself, slowly getting more and more used to how it all works. There's a lot of math in music, and when it's not just like a feeling in your body and you're trying to make things do what you want them to do, and it takes a lot of math, my brain is like, maybe we'll have a nap instead. So I'm gonna keep practicing. But yeah, I have recorded um, a lot of stuff, and some stuff that I have kind of completed. Um, there was one I did, no surprise, because I'm a Shinoda fan. The man who brought me into Tezos, we've got to thank him, I guess. Um, um, I did a. He had a drop on Ethereum called Windchime. So it was more or less a MIDI controller NFT with 20 stems, and you can mix and record um, with that and download a file and set that as the preview on OpenSea for your particular token that you happen to get. Um, and it's very cool and dynamic. Uh, it's one of my favorite NFTs actually. Um, and so he had a like a contest or challenge or whatever to make something with the um, with the stems. So I wrote a tiny little song. I had 4 days. I wrote the song one day, recorded it, well, developed a melody the next day, recorded it the third day, and on the fourth day mixed it all. And it was my best attempt because it was very fresh for me to be using Ableton. Um, and my trimmer hands. So I think I have that somewhere I can pin. Actually, I posted it on Twitters if anybody wants to hear it. Um, but yeah, my little home studio is still in progress. Eventually, I will have better equipment. I use moving blankets for sound dampening for the time being because they're cheaper. But I have designed some studio plans, like floor plans, taking into account acoustics and things like that.
Damn. It popped into my head when uh, Fendel mentioned your impersonations and everything. Uh, do you know who Andre Philip Gagnon is?
Not without context.
Oh, but
I might know.
he's a Canadian, and he sings and he does impressions, but he does like all of his impressions are songs. Like he
Oh, I think I know who you mean.
yeah,
Like a just for laughs sort of thing,
yeah,
or
kind of, yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
No,
Go
he's
ahead.
like absolutely amazing. Like they've looked at his vocal cords and tried to figure out how he does it because he does everybody, like from Michael Jackson to Harry Belafonte,
Mm-hmm.
and like bang on to.
Yeah. It takes a lot of vocal coordination, um, which I've gotten better at. Like I used, like, or I know how it fundamentally works, like physiology. Oh, I can't say it. Talk about vocal
Yeah,
coordination.
no, we got you. We got you though. We got you.
Yeah. Physiological um, mechanisms that are going on. So, like if you're using your palate or your nasal resonance versus your throat and your soft palate or your hard palate, and then your chest voice versus like the angle of your tongue and how you're holding your tongue within your mouth to make different sounds, and then your jaw and all of those things. So that is one of the things that kind of threw me off when I was doing my music lessons was I didn't learn any of that before. And so when it was explained to me, it made me sound really terrible for a while because my brain was busy trying to figure out what I was doing, that it wasn't actually just doing the thing that it already knew how to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Don't think about it. Let your body just do it.
just do it.
Just do it.
like like golf.
Yeah.
If you think about golfing, you're gonna suck at golf.
Exactly. You gotta let the muscle memory do its thing. You gotta practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice, and then let the muscle memory go. There, I've pinned the little song that I made.
Pin the song.
Pin the song.
Pin song on the Twitter pin board. What, what the hell I was going to call it
I've
there?
heard it called the Nest and the Jumbotron.
Yeah, the
I've
nest, the
heard.
jump drawn up on the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Pin it up
I just
there.
I just say up top.
Top, up top, down low.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, Paris said good night. I always forget about that in the bottom right corner there. People can write stuff. up
in the underground.
the underground down low.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I should
Oh, and
try
malicious
to
sheep even
read
said
that.
even earlier said you muted me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Really?
was me, actually.
I should go back through the comments after. I have, as I mentioned, an audio processing disorder, so I can't. I'm not going to be able to listen and read in this particular context, but I will go back and read what everybody's saying.
Oh, there wasn't much there. If it wasn't for you, there only would have been two other comments.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
it's
Okay.
barely worth mentioning.
I'd say I mean I can't fucking look at half of this stuff. I'll look at it later and or I'll like flip over my phone and go, oh, Willie texted me like 40 times and I ignored him. Can't can't read and host a show all at once.
I was just screaming about the echo tonight. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, the audio tonight was just weird. I mean, hey, every once in a while Twitter's got to throw us curveball.
Yeah.
I'd rather take audio issues other than, consistently rugging. Oh, I said the word. Shit.
You've done it
Yeah.
now. Look at.
Oh, fuck. Bucked. I mean when we get bucked.
You want some animal noises before we are unceremoniously rubbed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you take requests?
Maybe, actually. Sometimes my brain will do it. Sometimes it won't. Um, but yeah. Okay. So, so I'll start with a pig. I don't know if you can hear that. Twitter is
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
dealing with that. Okay. Okay. Um, so a cat. Uh, um, um, if anybody is uncomfortable with a cat wail, because some people are, please remove your headphones for a moment. Okay. I'm going to try and do it quiet. Yeah, I can't do the high end.
That is precisely why I don't have a cat.
Can't do the high end, but that's okay. Um,
Because they only do that at 2 in the morning, also.
or mama, mama in the alley. They're always in there. Yeah. Okay. Um, monkey. Um, and probably not surprisingly, out of repetition, you might recognize this particular iteration of a monkey, which is which is stupid monkey from Comedy Central. Um, I can't do a dog bark right now. My voice is too sweaty. I can try the turkey. It worked. It did its thing. And then I'll do a chicken. Okay, so that's but not just a chicken. I can also do chicken opera. Um, I learned this from a voice actress from the silver screen named Florence Gill. Um, she used to perform just the chicken opera, and that's how she made her living in like the late early 1900s. So here we go. Taking the headphone out so I can't hear. Which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I have to like really try hard not to laugh while I'm doing it because it won't work if I do.
Fucking awesome.
Random, but fun. Oh my god. So that's all I've got for the animal noises for now.
Oh, the fucking chickens were fucking top quality.
Uh,
Muppets.
it's a barnyard.
Hell yeah.
Full barnyard.
Does that ever come in handy in like practical life?
Yeah, like there's wild turkeys that wander around, so I can get them to come over to me so I can take their picture.
Uh,
Same with cats. Like cats love me because I speak their language. Um, Chickens, not so much. I can't be near them. So.
Well, they don't listen to anything.
Hmm.
Chickens don't listen to anything.
No, no, they definitely do not. They're on their own. They're on their own train. Their own individual train.
one brain cell.
Just vibing.
It's funny. I'm listening to everything that you do, and it reminds me of myself when my mom would always be like, "Son, if you could put all of those talents that you have together and package them, you'd be a millionaire."
Right. And
Oh,
yet I am a chronic volunteer. But eventually I will get my act together and do my albums and get my arts in places.
you'd be doing a world bubble tour.
A world bubble tour.
Lady in the Bubble. Lady in the Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you paint?
So prior to so I painted in high school and I painted in university for that 1 year. I did the majority of my paintings in the last year of high school and the first year of university. And then I more or less did not paint for 10 years, with some small exceptions where I was trying, but I was too frustrated with my hand tremors. Um, and then I didn't paint again until December of last year. And I painted the Mike Shinoda portrait and the Moo portrait. Between them, I think it was like 6 days between the two of them. And then I did a commission, which took me about a week, which was a direct copy of a piece. And then the self portrait took about 5 days. Um, so yeah, I can. The thing is with like how my brain works. I don't know if either of you have, or anybody in the room has a like a 3D brain where you can like imagine objects and turn them around in your mind. Or like you can, if somebody says picture an apple, can you see an apple? If you have your eyes closed, can you like see the image of an apple in your mind?
No, I'm pretty sure I have aphantasia.
Yeah, okay. So I have like, I'm guessing the opposite of that because I can picture it in front of my face. So not just with my eyes closed, but I can picture things in front of my face. So I practice painting in my brain, and I practiced painting in my brain for the majority of that 10-year period where I wasn't able to move, and I was just in bed learning things instead. Um, and so I've practiced like brushstrokes and stuff. And so if I have a painting idea, usually it only takes me a day because I practice it in my head in the meantime, so that when I go to paint it, I've already done it, if that makes sense. So then I can just make it happen. Um, and that seems to be working for me. So I'm going to keep doing that. Yeah.
That's a no nonsense way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. I already painted this, so I'm just gonna whip it out and go for coffee. Bye.
I still do mess it up though. So like then I'll have like the tremors, and then I'll have to like take back a portion of what I did and like redo it.
So
But
when you're dealing with the tremors, whether you're painting or taking photographs, like, I mean, earlier when you were talking about it, I was kind of comparing it to like like somebody shooting a gun, hold your breath, pull the trigger. Is that the kind of thing? Or am I making it too simplistic there?
So, um, it's a little bit of that. So, like holding your breath to like steady yourself or to like add breath pressure to like brace to kind of stiffen the body. But then there's also like just flexing your arms. So, like if I'm painting for too long without taking a break, because I'm trying so hard not to have the tremor, I'm like flexing like my shoulder, my like shoulder blade, my shoulder cap, my bicep, tricep, forearm, and all of the muscles in my hands. I'm like really pinning those into my hip and like flexing the hell out of them to kind of counteract that. Or I'm like completely fluid and going the complete opposite way where I'm just kind of like bouncing, like touching the canvas when my hand is in the right spot, just like trying to make it work. um, so both of those options make me very tired. So my stamina when I was younger, I could whip them out in a day. Now, um, it takes me a little bit longer, um, and most of the time when I'm painting, I'm also painting on the floor with it in my lap. So larger pieces are more difficult for me because I have to use completely different muscle groups in order to paint them because I'm like a standing or leaning or perched on like a tall stool or something so that I'm able to reach where that is. Like putting my arms above my head for too long will make me faint. So it's like I have to manage a whole bunch of symptoms while I'm trying to do the work. Um, and yeah, so
Yeah,
um,
definitely a little bit more involved than just holding your breath and pulling the trigger. You're exerting yourself for sure.
but I do that though, the holding
Right.
the breath part for sure.
And pull the trigger.
I no, I don't know.
And sing a song while doing a chicken impersonation. what?
I try.
What's she doing? Oh, again.
It's using your nasal resonance in your upper palate for folks interested.
Your chicken is. I mean, I thought my chicken was pretty good, but your chicken is super refined.
I think, yeah. It
My
was one of the earliest ones that I ever did,
my
actually.
chicken is like a hobo half-ass chicken. Um,
Hmm.
is there in the traditional art world? Is there any artist that you can think of that inspires you?
Um, yeah, there's several, mostly Canadian artists because that's what I'm exposed to. Um, oh no, my nouns. I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring their names up from my brain depths. Um, hmm.
I would never remember any of them anyways, but as soon as I saw the names, I'd be like, yeah,
Like I can just picture all of their work and like their history, but I can't picture their names.
fair enough.
Um, maybe I'll just describe them and people will be able to find them. So there's one um, artist. Oh, here we go. Dana Donger uh, is um, Indigenous artist. Um, she has a lot of performance-based art and beadwork-based art, which is mixed in with queer culture, which is very interesting and I enjoy. Um, also,
She wasn't coming up.
uh,
But how do you spell her last name?
Donger is spelled like danger.
It is, hey. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. With an A. Gotcha.
yeah,
Oh, look, there she is.
yeah,
And Dana with a Y.
yeah. And um, a Sinayak, who is an Inuit artist and documentarian who makes uh, indigenous futurist um, short films, and she was featured in the biennial a couple of years ago in Europe. Um, and a Sinayak, let me see if I can figure out how to spell that.
Yeah, if that's an Inuit name, it's definitely not going to be like it sounds. That's for sure. Spelling wise.
I might not be able to find it because I know her more from Instagram from several years ago. And then there is also I'll just describe his work because I can't remember, but he is an indigenous artist who paints massive paintings that are in a Renaissance style, but it is tackling the subject matter of colonization from Canada on Indigenous peoples. So there's a lot of RCMP references in there. Um, oh my
He
god.
paints in a Renaissance style.
Yeah, let me see.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm googling. I'm trying to find. No, it just came up with a whole bunch of other shit. Not even any art in what I
Okay.
just googled. What the hell?
Kent Monkman. Kent Monkman. I found him by his alter ego, his performance alter ego, which is Mischief Eagle Testicle. Um, but he does these extraordinary
Oh, wild!
paintings
I just
of
called up.
scenes of like tragedy and like scenes of resilience and stuff like that. They're really cool.
That is
I
not a styling that I would have expected.
mm-hmm.
Huh.
um, I really enjoy his use of difficult subject matter in contrast with traditional archetypes and transitioning them through a new lens. Like, I enjoy that a lot, which is kind of what I try to do with my stuff because I've got like the queer lens, I got the disability lens, I got a lot of lenses where my work is and my research and stuff is pointed in a particular direction from my experience, right? So, um,
I was just thinking
mhm.
the because these artists are all Indigenous, and I'm just thinking about where you live in Canada. Are you yourself Indigenous, or is Indigenous art just something that speaks to you?
um,
Don't have to
I my
want to.
I myself am super duper white. Um,
Okay.
my ancestry is less known to my family. I'm not going to assume that I am not just super duper white. I have relatives, like nieces and nephews and cousins who are Indigenous, um, and I have lived in an area which, because there were some treaties that had taken place, like the history of the people who used to live here was not as repressed as it is in other municipalities because there was um, an agreement of sorts. Um, it was, of course, horribly bastardized, like all representations for a long time, but they're locally are trying to work on that. I have spent a lot of time in intersectional disability justice spaces where I prioritize the voices of people with more pressing intersections than myself. I am super duper white, so I have a shit ton of privilege. Um, compared to some of my peers who are like disabled and black or disabled and indigenous, who are policed instead of provided with health care for their disabilities. Um, and so I have a lot of um, interest in the similar structures of oppression that we have all been under and the institutions that have harmed all of us. And they their voices are often tokenized. Indigenous voices in Canada are often tokenized to create a more comfortable facade within the fine art circles as well as in the educational institutions. So these artists, I feel, push against that narrative in a very strong way, and I appreciate their work because of that.
Cool.
I hope that makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely, it did. No, I had to ask the question. I mean,
mm-hmm.
of course, just because a person likes one kind of art doesn't mean they are. But I just thought, especially with your location, northern
Mm-hmm.
Ontario. Cool. But you're super duper white. All right.
Super duper white.
Super
I
duper.
am almost blue.
Put put that sucker shirt. I am super duper white. In case you didn't notice.
Yeah. My tanning experience is going into the sun, turning into a lobster, peeling, and becoming a translucent baby fish again.
That's kind of like
Hey,
Willie.
that's me. Yeah,
Yeah, super duper white.
super duper white.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Willie, we're going to start calling you that now too. Super duper white Willie.
Might want to rethink that.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably right. Maybe it's especially in the United States, probably not a good
Mm.
Yeah.
idea.
But yeah, I try and use because I have a lot of privilege, being white and femme presenting. So I use that to elevate people who are silenced and tone policed and told they're too aggressive when they're just asking for the basic human rights. So I go in and say, give them their basic human rights and listen to what they have to say. And they go, oh, okay. And they listen to them then. So that's what I do.
Good doing that.
Yeah. Um,
This, like this Kent Monkman, I've been scrolling through his stuff ever since you brought him up. Like his stuff, it's crazy. It's just the modern day stuff, but done in the Renaissance painting style is just really cool.
mm-hmm. And
And
it's
there's
enormous. Like,
they do. Yeah, you said them
yeah.
huge, and
Like,
so they should be
yeah.
like the Sistine Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
In the Web3 world, what do you have artists in the Web3 world that inspire you?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm sure there's a millions. You can give us like top five.
Maybe just 5 or whatever.
If you,
I'm going to do what I always do and elevate voices who are under some sort of marginalization. So I'm going to suggest people check out um, Mari Migraine, Mari Migraine. She is a migraine and mental health and mental illness advocate. Um, she, like me, has migraine, which is a neurological condition, um, which can cause photosensitivity. It can cause significant pain. In my case, I also get vision disturbances where one eye I can't see out of it, and at points, and then another type, which is a hemiplegic migraine, which means half of my body just doesn't want to cooperate and becomes very limp. Um, so she creates some really beautiful work. She actually just created a new piece, which I highly recommend checking out. It was her first ever animated piece. Um, she has a lot of anime references. Well, not a lot of, but she has some anime references. She has a project she's been working on for over a year with chronic migraine, um, which is called Sad Girls, um, which will be a um, kind of like a PFP project, but not kind of like a PFP project. Um, but yeah, she has been working on that for over a year. Um, and then I would recommend Tantan, who I suggested earlier. She has just minted recently a coded interactive software, which is a video game, like an RPG, text based video game with a puzzle in it. It is not for sale. She will be doing some pieces related to it in the future. But I highly recommend checking that out because it is the coolest thing I've ever seen. She taught herself how to code like a couple months ago and just made a game. So do check that out. It's her handle is I think just TANTAN.
I definitely know that I've seen
Yeah.
Tan Tan floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been in the space before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm, who else? I'm gonna also boost LM Designs. LM Designs 8 is her handle. Uh, she is an artist on Tezos and a couple other places. She is a 3D builder and designs um, environments, avatars, all sorts of stuff on spatial. She hosts the Jam with Mindset and Crypto Casually, which is a poetry space every Thursday. Um, she also creates AR/VR experiences in the real world, which is cool. Um, she has graciously built me for whenever my internet is strong enough to access spatial. Um, she has built me an avatar mod so that my avatar can be in a wheelchair, which is super cool. um, and she's just an overall amazing human. And trying to think.
I actually think she's been in the space as well a few times, and I think Nick Dimes actually
Mm-hmm.
threw flowers for her and told us we should have her on.
Yes,
But
you should.
I think she's done work with Hash Brown and Lily, and she's known.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely a little more known.
Yep. She is all over the place doing awesome stuff. Um, a
But what's
fellow kind.
chick impersonation like?
I don't know. We should ask her. But yeah, she's a fellow kind artist like me and my. Yeah, my brain is struggling to pick people at this
No,
point.
it's okay. Yeah, you didn't have to come up with five.
Oh, okay.
No, that
My
three.
brain was like, you did have a number to, and I'm like, okay,
No, if
okay.
any,
Oh, I would have said 17.
yeah. No, if any more
uh,
possible, definitely drink.
just watch my Twitter profile because I will be retweeting cool people in the space.
Cool
Yeah.
people in space. Nice little list.
Yeah.
Some people we're familiar with in that list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've definitely covered a lot tonight, and I'm just looking at the back top of my page, and there's stuff that we didn't even come close to. But um, is there anything before we wind up the space? Is there anything else you wanted to chat about that you think we haven't covered tonight that you really wanted to talk about? Anything
Hmm.
coming up that you got going on you want us to keep an eye out for?
I
Other than
have,
the bubble tour.
other than the bubble tour, of course, the bubble tour. um, I do have my new series that I released a couple weeks ago, which is Primary Connections. There are 3 minted. I keep 1. 2 are available for sale at 3 TES. And you will find a fellow collector of that piece. There will only be one other person that is drawn to that piece, and you can perhaps make a connection with them over that artwork.
And
It is
that is
also.
like I just WX8BK. We just put the Lycan Oasis into our wallet. That's the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, thank you for picking that up. Amazing. Um, yeah, so it is also a fundraiser. So a portion of it goes to me, a portion goes to the Taya Equity Multisig, and a portion goes to the Taya Fountain. Um, I can't remember the splits right now, but it's on my pinned.
50 shares to Malicious Sheep,
Yep.
25 to Taya Fountain, and 25 to Taya Equity.
There we go. Thank you.
Multi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I also have. I'm planning on doing another fundraiser soon. I have another photo series as well with spiders and mushrooms, which I might mint. I'll figure that out.
Mushrooms are all cool,
Yeah. So
especially
that's
spiders on mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said, right? No.
Actually, I need to look for that to take that picture.
There you go.
Thank you for that. Um, yeah, just different ones that are mushrooms and then ones that are spiders and bugs and seed pods and things. Um, I have one of my favorite series that I've made so far has been my Moon Tremor series, which my friend Flynn was asking me like about my process, my photographic process, and I was explaining about the tremors and how I compensated. And he asked, had I ever incorporated the tremors into my photography? So I immediately went outside and took pictures of the moon in the middle of winter, um, and came up with that. I will see if I can find it. Pin. There's 20 pieces. Each piece has an original poem. It was the first project that I ever um, sold out completely. Um, and I did it all in one night. Like I had it in, I launched it and had it available as an offer system for 2 weeks. And then on the full moon, I would accept the highest offers at midnight over 5 TEDs. And the whole collection sold out, and it was one of my happiest moments. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so I'm gonna pin that. It kind of looks like like paint strokes. Oh, is it gonna not let me search
So
that?
that's kind of an interesting thing to think about, like that you were trying so hard to get rid of the tremors, and then somebody goes, "Hey, have you tried incorporating that shit?"
Yeah, exactly, right?
That's,
Um,
you're like,
yeah.
"No, that's just silly. What? No."
I did. I gave it a good try, and I was very happy with the result. And I'm very grateful to Flynn for suggesting it for me, because
Cool.
now it's allowing me to explore other things. So I pinned there. There's a moon which I painted in a previous painting. I just like used it as my example to show what it was. But then the ones on the side there, the second image, are
Yes.
the results of my hand tremors taking pictures of the moon. So each one has a different form and shape. Um, but yeah, all sorts of goodies in there.
Oh, there it finally came.
Yeah, and then each one has its own original poem, and all of the poems are related to the moon. So.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Moment of silence while I look. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a good time. I have music I'm working on. I have poetry I'm working on. Um, oh, I could do I could close us off with a moon poem if you would like. One of the poems from this.
Hell yeah. Let's
Okay,
do
let
it.
me find it. Let me find
And again, I'd like to reach out to anybody that's been down there listening. If anybody's interested in coming up and asking a question before we end it all, finish out on a poem, feel free to do so.
it. Please do.
Had a heck of a group in here tonight. You bring in the crowds.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so glad that um, I was that the space was made available for me, and I've had just a wonderful time. Um, I got to sing in spaces, which was very nerve wracking, but I got to do it, and charming company, and I'm just very grateful for everybody who came and for anybody who's listening after who couldn't make it, because I get it. We have time zones. Time isn't real, but you know, there's some sort of structure, I guess, they try and put on us. Um,
Uh,
I can't see if anybody's coming up. So
no, nobody is.
okay.
It's okay. It's and you know what? That's not a. It's not a bad thing either. People, if you've blown people away and explained everything they need to know, you've done a good job as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Well, you've educated us a lot tonight. Like, phew.
Oh, I could go on, and I
Yeah.
do go on.
Well, like I said at the top of this book up here, I was like, man, there's things. It could be. Yeah, maybe we do a 2-part, 3-part series,
We probably could. I have enough material.
and you still
Um,
about 7 hours. That's amazing.
yeah. Tonight I won't. Tonight I'll sleep about 4.
Right. You were saying it.
Yeah. It was planned. Planned in advance so that
Good.
I can. Mhm.
Cool. All right. Well, do you have a poem for us?
Sure.
Lay it on it.
Mhm, mhm. Trying to find one that isn't as like super creepy because I tend to do a lot of super creepy poems about nature, about nature, and like cycles of life and death. Um,
Whatever you want to read, we're okay.
okay. Um, okay. I'm gonna do Twilight Lantern. No, I'm gonna do
Hey, Willie.
Cyclicality.
Willie, I just noticed that we have a female guest artist, and Lily White was not in here to witness that we had a female guest artist on.
Well, she'll be here next week to give us shit that we don't ever have any on.
I
Well,
did invite her, actually.
unfortunately for you, this week you didn't, because I'm non-binary. So
Oh,
it's you
pardon.
get.
I'm sorry, actually. I'm
That's
very
okay. That's okay.
Well,
proud.
in
Uh,
regards to Lily, even better.
see. So now you've got to get Lily her female artist. You've still got to step up.
No, we
Still
have
got.
we have plenty of female artists on. It just seems like Lily's not around.
I
Too.
know. I know. Eventually she will come. She will come.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure
had
she listens to the recordings. I'm sure though.
Right?
we had one on last week.
We did
Mhm.
so.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, I'll
Fabulous.
stop interrupting.
That's okay. Okay. So this is called cyclicality. A full moon aligns perigee signal, pulls water forth, and beckons cicadas, emerging and molting as is tradition. In winged form they shriek at the heat, while crying out, in desperation, they seek the solace of a quick coupling, to foster a new, young generations of underworld dwellers who burrow and feed by the roots of old trees, connected by tendrils, trade and exchange the fragments of stones. Their children will wander more than a decade until the moon calls and the pattern repeats.
Beautiful.
There we go.
That was
Making cicadas all magical.
right. I was cicadas, and then you think about the sound they make and go, well, they're kind of horrible. That was the most beautiful cicada poem I've ever heard in my life.
And next time we talk, I will tell you about how cicadas' life cycle works, because that's cool too.
I bet you they wear earplugs the whole time.
No, they
Cicadas probably don't have ears.
yeah, they don't
Right?
have ears.
Uh,
They feel
Of
it.
course they don't. How else would they live? Making that noise.
Well, we all ignore our own voices when we're speaking.
That's why I can't do this echo tonight.
Hmm.
Keep hearing myself.
down in a hole, down in a hole tonight. Well, thank you. That was absolutely amazing. That was a wonderful poem. I think you should come back again sometime and just intermittently stop into the space and drop us a poem.
Oh, I've got many a poem. Most
You know,
of them
drop
are
it in.
recently are very like heavy though, so I don't know how welcome that will actually be. They
Yeah,
might,
that's fine.
World's a pretty damn heavy place, honestly.
yeah. I have one that I just did recently. Um, if you want to hear it, which is a little bit heavier, but
Drop it.
okay, okay, okay. Let me get a drink of water because my voice is starting to get thready now. Okay, this was originally debuted in the Jam Thursdays, 9 Eastern on Twitter. Okay. Get thicker skin, or so they tell me, as though scar tissue will save me from the issue, that the knives and claws will not puncture, as though the lines in the claws will not matter, asking to surrender to wounds left untreated so the traumas will encase, protected but in my place. Did I offend you? They ask. Are you offended? Sensitive? You still feel? That's your problem. You are weak. You haven't suffered enough to toughen up. Toughen up. My wounds are still fresh. There's more coming. My scars greatly numbered, but the knife unencumbered pierces again and again from all sides. They all want me dead, and it's not in my head. Fresh bills writ and read, the signature wet. Death certificate drafted while I'm still here in bed. My wounds have been constant from cradle to earth. My battle scars prominent somehow measure my worth. Somehow I'm offended. I can't take a good joke. While I hold in my guts, wounds open, you poke. No, not offended. I can't take offense. My positioning passive, not even defense. I'm too tired for war games, militarily minded. Despondent from pain, instead am reminded of every time an old wound was struck. Does it surprise you to know that I don't give a fuck? My concern instead is for those left unwounded before you get in their head, before they self wound and prune empathy bled. My energy focused on one simple act. When I hear it, I note it, I state it as fact. Counter twisted quote, and for you, with the knife, your own wounds untreated, left scars deep and wide, you had no one when needed. You cling to your weapon out of instinct or habit. Lay down arms and come here. Let me speak to your harms of everything suffered while you tried to survive. It's not fair. You were trained. Let me soften your scars with balm and with salve if I'm still alive.
Should we all be doing the finger snapping thing?
The finger snappings.
That was wonderful. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm standing up here in my studio, and I was just like, I was grooving with that one. I got lost a little bit. It was good.
That's good.
It's
I,
fantastic.
I I do enjoy a good poem, um, and I'm finding more confidence in them now. So
Just adding one more thing to the arsenal that you have. The art,
Seriously.
the
the,
awesome.
the part of the multi and the I can't even say multidisciplinary. Jesus, couldn't
I
say
think
it
I'm at that point now too.
right. That's why I think it's a good natural time for us to all finish while we're still in prime
hmm
form, vocally, mentally. Well, I mean, Willie and I are never prime mentally. That's for sure.
Mm.
But yeah, thank you very much, Mal. For sorry, I called you Mal. I shortened up your name,
It's
Malicious.
okay. Mal is what, yeah, people call me Mal, people call me malicious, people call me sheep, whatever.
What?
Yeah, it's all good.
MS, Malicious Sheep.
Hmm
Thank you very much for thanks for reaching out to begin with, because you were the one that I mean, we invited you when you came and visited. I can't remember what space that was where we met you.
It was
Who?
one of the ones where the guest didn't wasn't able to make it, and
Oh,
so and there was a question about Tezquake Aid, and
that's
then you
right.
came
Hash
up and
brown.
Mm.
explained all of that,
Right.
how that worked. Yeah.
That was the original High Blinks one, I think.
Mm.
When we were supposed to originally have High Blinks on, who we had on last week, I think. But yes, I do remember
Yeah,
that.
that sounds right.
That's right, right. And then you reached out in a DM and said, "Yeah, I'm down."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy. I'm happy you did. We really got to learn a lot about you, and we
Mm-hmm.
definitely have lots of unanswered questions. But you'll be around. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep. You'll see me
100%.
poking
Um,
around with the Taya stuff, I'm sure.
hell yeah! And every time I hear chicken, I'm gonna think
Yeah.
about you. A chicken singing Jolene.
Yeah.
Oh, next level. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your time,
Mm-hmm.
100%. And as I said to everybody in the space earlier, if any of us are feeling like we can't get something done, we're having a rough day, you're definitely a living testament to that. When people put their minds to things, they can overcome a lot of obstacles and do amazing things and have quite a normal life,
Mm-hmm.
as normal as an artist can be.
Yeah.
Anytime you have something you want to promote, you're going to drop something new, or like I said, if you want to just come by and sing for us, or drop some poetry, feel free to come in anytime. We are here, and you can use us as needed, if we ever fit your Swiss Army knife of need
That sounds wonderful.
to do something
And
for you.
I want to thank you both for this lovely time. It has been a joy. And my face is hurting from smiling so much. So I'm going to be hitting the hay shortly. But I have really appreciated this. And yeah, thank you both.
Very welcome. Thank you for making the world a better place. And to everybody else that's in here that gave up their time this evening to come in and ride the night train with us and listen to our guest, thank you very much for coming to join us, because we know that everybody's time is super, super valuable. And the fact that y'all take a little bit of it to come in here and hang out with us and listen to what our guest has to say really means a lot to me and to Willie, the HR department, the booking department, all of our departments that we have that are all run under the same email by the same person.
By the same people.
Yeah, totally. Next week we're just going to kind of have a casual space. It's Halloween, so we encourage everybody to get out there, do some trick or treating, maybe go scare a few people, hand out some candy, do whatever you got to do. But we'll be kicking around here in a very minimal kind of way. But we'll be here. So if you want to get on here and chat, feel free to do so. The following week after that, I'm not too sure who we have booked yet, but we'll look into that. We'll definitely have somebody. We are here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, talking to artists about amazing stuff all the time. We always learn something. It's very educational. So make sure you come back and visit us again. Willie, thanks for being here, man. Can't do it without you.
Thank you guys. I was pretty quiet tonight because you guys just took over, so that's good. I enjoyed it.
Well, sometimes you got to put the train on autopilot. All right, Malicious, thank you very much once again. I can't say that enough. Appreciated your company tonight and learning a lot about you. We'll see you somewhere out in the Web3 world.
Sounds good.
And I'll
Thank
play us
you.
out with a closing track. Take care of yourselves and each other, everybody. See you next week.
When I think of you, 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 think of you.
I don't think of nobody, only money. Give it to me. They was laughing, now it's funny how they love me. I'm a motherfucking must-see. You must be out of your mind thinking you could touch me. Go ahead and judge me, you'll never fucking budge me. Pockets getting pudgy, accomplishments getting fuzzy. Off how frequently they come and you know you not really wanted. Stop playing, bitch, you nothing. Don't make me show you, look. Fuck your anxiety, fuck your society. You should ride with me. We gon' mob the streets. Fuck the make believe. We gon' make the peace. You just wait and see. We taking everything.
Just me and